enhance institutional accountability. President Ruto also promised to support the Judiciary's request for additional budgetary allocation that will see 25 judges appointed to the High Court and 11 to the Court of Appeal. Opposition leader Raila Odinga has however condemned the fact that the meeting wasn't held at a neutral place, saying it will compromise the judiciary.
If there's going to be a dialogue over issues of governance, it should be held in a neutral ground. But this means that the judiciary itself is being compromised by the executive. The judiciary is being held hostage by the executive. And we've seen this before. You saw it happen under the rule of Mr. Moi. And we have tried to caution the current Chief Justice not to go to bed with the executive. This is an unfortunate development. And we hope that the rest of members of the judiciary are not going to be compromised.
Odinga, on the other hand, has castigated individuals who are spreading rumors that the party is divided and the coalition is set to collapse.
Azimio is intact. There is no dissension. There is no disagreement anywhere in Azimio. We have stood very firm. Azimio is on a course of liberation of this country. There may be sometimes disagreement of opinion on one issue or the other, but that itself does not mean in any way disintegration. So I want to inform all our members, wherever they are, across the country. Azimio iko imara. Azimio is remaining united, and Azimio will not break up anytime soon.
More than half of Kenyans are struggling to make ends meet. A report by InfoTrack shows that 55% of Kenyans cannot fend for themselves in the wake of tough economic times. The survey also shows that 18% of Kenyans are in severe financial distress, while only 5% are comfortable managing the situation. Some 22% of the respondents said they are neither struggling nor comfortable.
Within this year, 2024, they feel and think that school fees will increase, unemployment will definitely increase, the dollar exchange rates against Kenya shillings would increase. We've witnessed this. And of course, 51%, as of the time we were doing this survey, thought the cost of energy would increase. Yes, we've seen the cost of energy, more so the electricity, for those who buy token or they pay the electricity on the postpaid framework. There's been an increase that has been mentioned by most of you, the members of Fourth Estate.
Kenya recorded 90,841 TB cases in 2022. Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni said this is back from the 77,854 cases identified in 2021. Muthoni added that TB remains a major public health concern as many cases in rural areas are undiagnosed.
We've put the acts in place. Whereas before, somebody with TB, maybe they would go to hospital and they would not be treated. Today, with the social health insurance, they will be and must be treated. It's a step forward. We are just about to see the white smoke. And let's not get tired of revisiting. TB is not left behind. It kills. And with the numbers that we are reading here, 90,000 is not just a number. And I've said that's a whole constituency. Therefore, let's embrace the preventive, promotive agenda.
The government now says that the Teacher Service Commission will send teachers to St. Gabriel Isongo in Kakamega County and St. Martin's Mafuta in Uasin Gishu County only if they are guaranteed their safety. Speaking in Mama Ngina Secondary School in Mombasa, Basic Education PS Bailey Kipsang says that the schools are set to hold a meeting with all education stakeholders and parents to resolve the dispute. He has further warned that head teachers against school fees increment.
To have stakeholders engagements, the parents, the boards, the community, so that we all agree on how we shall protect our professionals, teachers, nurses, and all the others that we have seen in the recent past being attacked for them providing service. So it is not really acceptable that we have to invade our schools, because as much as the biggest component and the most critical person in learning process is a teacher, unless we support the environment for that teacher to deliver, it will be very difficult.
This comes as 17 teachers are transferred from St. Gabriel's Isongo. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that sisi ni ng'ombe za baba, which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyang.
Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done.
I'm very proud of myself. When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom? I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's betting, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Tuesday. Let's have a look at what's going on these streets. Not seeing anything packing up just yet. Folks are getting in and out of the city, flowing freely for now. We're going to see how Tuesday morning opens up. But you're coming off of Thika Superhighway. For now, you're all right. Coming off of Wayakiwe as well, flowing free into the city, as well as coming off of Limuru Road. Mombasa Road looks good as it does, getting onto Huru Highway. And let's take a look at the Eastern Bypass, where we're not seeing much happening here either, as you get towards Outer Ring at the junction of Embakasi, and then coming in from Cabanas and North Airport Road. So all this we'll keep an eye on as we get into Tuesday. In the meantime, let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Otherwise, Mambo Namnagani, it's Tuesday, 23th already.
22th. 23th.
Mm.
It's actually 23th.
Can you imagine?
Whoa,
Can you imagine?
Imagine.
And it's not the final week of January.
Still not. What's a man got to do to get to the end of January? Who do we need to talk to?
My God.
How do we need to pray? My goodness.
You still have another Tuesday, and it will still not be the end of January. Hey, guy.
By the way, the 23th. Okay.
Imagine.
Nah, it's great.
A week from today will be the 30th.
Yes.
Still not the end of Ay. Hapana bwana. Hapana bwana. Hii ni ile corruption.
Ni corruption? Hata mwezi haizi isha.
Wanapigana na mwezi yetu.
Isiishe.
Surely. Sisi tumeamua tumalize mwezi. Tupunguze hii mwezi. Iache kuwa wiki 4, ikuwe wiki 2. Wanaenda kotini.
Hata tunajaribu.
Nyenye mutakubali.
Those of us who lived in the Moi era, the Kenyatta era, and were cognizant of what was going on. We thank God for this president. He just talks. Yeah, because when he talks and complains, that's all he does. There was a time when you knew, you say something,
it meant a lot.
Yeah, you just tell your family, you know, I'm not coming home today. And the likelihood of my coming home again may not happen, I don't know. Simply because of what you said. So
you go knowing.
Are you gone?
That's why James Orengo said they used to eat in the morning, every day. You eat properly.
Because you don't know.
Because they knew the life that they were living and they knew the things that they were likely to say. So they would make sure they eat because you don't, and they said you even have a little drink of something. Because you don't know if you're coming home that day.
Yes.
And even when they're going to, where they're going to keep you, you don't know if they're going to feed you.
The level of uncertainty was high. Okay. Now, so when you have this government, the people of my generation will tell you, this is a good president. In many ways, he's upset. He just says, you guys, what do you think you're doing? And then that's the end of that.
It ends there.
In the previous era, the people would come and ask you, when you think you're the holder of all opinions in this country, come and write a statement. About what? About the things you said.
About the things you said. The things you
particular
think
ones,
of.
all of them.
What are the things that you think of?
And suddenly you become a guest of the state.
Why? Others uko sawa?
Maridadi kabisa.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Pia mimi niko salama. Na kama unavyomuona dada yetu hapa.
Yeye pia ako sawa.
Buheri wa afya. Ako fresh kabisa.
What's Buheri? What's Buheri?
It is the female version of Buhari.
Get out.
Well, you did ask for that one, didn't you?
My God, I walked right into it. Eyes open, feet first. Good heavens.
Karibu sana kila mtu to the conversation. Let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. Issue number 1 at 7 a.m. So UHC. So this Health CS is publishing the new UHC regulations, or what will bring to life the Social Health Insurance Fund Act. Okay?
Yeah.
The Understanding Health Financing and the Benefits of UHC Laws will be joined by Dr. Jackson Otieno. He's a senior research and policy analyst at the African Institute for Development Policy, AFIDEP. 7 a.m. That's the conversation. Hii mambo ya UHC iko namna gani? At 8 o'clock, we'll be joined by the former president of the Law Society of Kenya and chairman of the Retirement Benefits Authority. He's a retiree. His name is Nelson Harvey. Okay. So he comes here. We talk about yesterday's meeting between the Chief Justice, the President, the Speaker of the National Assembly, and others. And we also look at last week's communication from the Supreme Court to Senior Counsel Menasir Abdullahi. Is it lawful? Is it unlawful? What's happening in the courts, in the corridors of justice? And then at 9 a.m., we'll have an agriculture conversation. Impact of the dairy sector in Kenya. Allah?
What?
There's an impact of the dairy sector in Kenya?
Well, apparently.
There is an impact.
Okay. Including global warming.
My friend.
Anything you want to just throw it in there.
Okay.
But even if there is no impact, but yet there is, we need to have a situation where we are discussing what it's like.
Okay. An expert in dairy farming and livestock fodder production, his name is John Carrier, will be joining us at 9 a.m. He's an expert in dairy farming, not in milking.
Sorry.
In dairy farming. He's expert in dairy farming and feeding cows.
Okay.
He knows how to chop the dara.
The what?
Dara.
What's that?
So kama ujui dara, unajua wewe ujui ng'ombe.
Sasa.
Wewe ujui ng'ombe.
To cut the hoof.
Yeah.
Did I try?
What do cows eat?
Grass.
Which one?
Like Napier grass. Idara. Dara is Napier grass.
Yes.
Voila.
Yes.
I learn something new every day.
Yeah. And John will be here to talk to us a lot about it. He'll teach you a lot more.
Okay.
That's not the only grass you can feed cows.
True.
Okay?
Okay.
There's more nutritious types and varieties of grass.
Voila. Okay.
Hiya. What's here? Niguo.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Will be highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 25 as well in a partly cloudy Nakuru at 13, 11 and clear in Nyeri with highs of 26 and 12 degrees and partly cloudy in Eldoret, going to highs of 23. It's 16 and clear in it's 24 and partly cloudy in Mombasa with highs of 33, and we'll see highs of 32 in a partly cloudy Malindi at 25. Looking into Kisumu, it's 19 and clear, and it'll go to highs of 28, while Kakamega will see highs of 28 as well. It's currently clear at 16. Kampala this morning is raining at 20 with highs of 27 and lows of 19, while Dar es Salaam is cloudy at 27. We'll see highs of 32. It's 15 and clear in Johannesburg with highs of 26 and lows of 14, while at 24 it's already sunny in Mogadishu with highs of 33. 11 degrees and partly cloudy in Addis Ababa with highs of 24, and Lagos is cloudy at 27 with highs of 33. Kinshasa is cloudy at 24 with highs of 32, and we're looking into a sunny Beijing at -6 Tuesday afternoon with highs of 0 and lows of -8. It's 7 degrees and cloudy in London with highs of 13 and lows of 7, while Paris at 8 degrees is cloudy. It'll go to highs of 12. We'll round things off in New York. Monday night is cloudy at 2 degrees. Coming into Tuesday, highs of 4 and lows of 0.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Nani ako aweki wasa kama haya.
Agri Momanya amesema good morning.
Right.
Says prayers were held at State House. It's a good thing. Okay. Don Sabwa, we see you. Ann Gore is greeting us from Saboti's beautiful hills. Jimmy Wekesa is here. Robinson Kisero says good morning as well. He's watching, and the degrees are below 0. My goodness.
What you go?
Uko, Hong Kong.
Guy. It's cold everywhere in the world.
I'm telling you, it's winter in a lot of parts. So, hey, madness. Jimmy Wekesa says good morning. Robinson Kisero, yes. So the Kikombe is tuned in from Phuket. And Chris Adede says good morning. Sabit Yusuf is also here. Mbiru Iruhinga, I like that name, is tuned in, but listening this morning from Pretoria. Good morning, CT Eric and Princess Ndunawa Penda Kama Nigerian football team. Really? Let me not just go far this morning about the Nigerian football team. Okay. Abito the lady says this is a reminder that Kisumu is still the cleanest city in East and Central Africa. Okay. Francis Karogo says good morning. Jeffrey Mogaka is also here. Laban Sialo, Margaret Wanjohi, Dismas Ombuya is also here. Octavius Cargo, Rutherford Maganga says good morning. Josephat Moirori is in the house as well. Nyasimi Jeffrey, I can see you all this morning. George Okoh says good morning, my good people. Eric CT Ndu, Ednah, Diego, everybody. Good morning.
Karibu sana kila mtu. City. We are still in the kingdom of the Republic of the Democratic of half constitution of
semi-permanent.
Semi-permanent.
You guys.
Monarchy of Morocco.
You must be applauded for the efforts you are making to try and understand this unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy.
Unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional.
Yes,
right.
Under King Mohammed VI. Okay? Yes. Little and lasting is better than much and passing.
Little and lasting is better than much and passing.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder much and passing. How long does it take to pass, though?
How long is long? How much is much? Well,
how little is little?
How much is too much?
How much is enough? Little by Ati?
Little by little.
Little and lasting is better than much and passing. Yes.
It's true.
Not the month of March. March as in much.
Wow. Much. Not March.
I see March.
March. Berit.
Not na si mchezo. Si kibiriti, si mchezo, si mwezi, na si mingi.
God thought he was going to catch me offside.
Offside, wow. I see what you did there. Well done.
Yeah, headlines, Basi.
On the front page, justice on trial as Ruto Kome meet. Hey. Lawyers and opposition leaders have said the meeting between the Chief Justice and the President will not augur well, as that is direct interference at the independence of one arm of government. The leaders say the dialogue will dent public confidence in the institution. Which one?
How?
The executive or the judicial?
No. How?
What?
How will it
this
dent
denting
confidence?
they're talking about, how?
You go on.
Okay. Parents and teachers are confused by CBC grade 6 marks. Why are you confused? They're just not out. Why are we confused? There's clear commotion in that place. Don't be confused. These guys haven't gotten their ducks in a row.
Does it change anything?
No. Why?
Particularly for teachers.
Or even the grade 7s now, who took the exam at grade 6. Stay in school.
Okay. Maybe
it's an assessment. They want to be able to see over the years. But they should have had those out by now, that's for sure.
Okay.
Police.
It would be nice to see and to understand how.
Of course. Plus, you prepared for the exam. You want to know what you scored, no?
Yeah.
Police get crucial leads in Waini's brutal killing, and more details of that. Very rattling. Awful, brutal killing. Looking into the details. Senators talk on party rattles UDA. Okay, so there's a rattle. Nyeri Senator says if the region joined government through a party and not the president's vehicle, they would have better bargaining power and the benefits would be much more. Okay. Sawa. No let up as the shilling sinks again. 162.5 shillings to $1. It doesn't look good at all. Okay, on the Nation. Big job cuts loom for civil servants following damning audits exposing the extent of ethnic discrimination in public sector employment that has seen a few tribes dominate government jobs. A new bill seeks to further reduce the statutory quota for a dominant community in an agency. If enacted, it could lead to restructuring of state agencies and possible job losses. Okay? How killers bought weapons.
So you'll be fired because you are this tribe?
Because you are many. Not because you are this tribe. Because your people here are many. And when we look at everything, we say, okay, just take one for the team, dude. Just sit it out.
You know, my friend, let me tell you.
This is nothing.
Even if you were to give it the fairness of all fairnesses, okay? Any community that has larger numbers, statistically,
in the country, Annie.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, population is larger. They will have more people. It's not complicated. And if they have more people, the likelihood of more of their people being in positions is always there.
It's just mathematics.
You cannot. There's nothing you can. Well, you can try and do something about it. You can talk about it.
Or you can say you fire.
No.
For example, the current law caps it at 30%. So you cannot have people from one community being more than 30%
of your workforce
in an institution.
Yeah.
All right. So you have to now start thinking as you're recruiting,
quota.
What you have to do about balancing the quota.
Now
they want to reduce it to 20%.
Let me just explain again.
Explain it, please.
I understand the need for affirmative action.
Yes.
And it is important.
Yes.
Because there's a certain unfairness that visited our shows very early and immediately after independence. Okay? Certain communities had a huge advantage. They had more people who were educated. So when it came to jobs, they took jobs before everybody even knew those jobs existed. All right? Now, when you're trying to write something that you consider an anomaly, I also understand. But this is something that must be debated. So you are saying that when you want to put in force affirmative action, then you disadvantage others. We tried this with education. We experimented. This thing that we're talking about.
Quota system.
Yeah.
It's still in place.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. We experimented. Okay? No one is talking about it. Now, if at the educational level you already tried it, that is where you're supposed to even the playing field. Because you've already said, no, people who are disadvantaged will have this advantage that we call affirmative action.
Yeah.
Okay?
Let's see what they do with that.
Then, is there any tribe in this country that's a majority by more than 20%?
No.
Senior?
There isn't.
So if there isn't, then a 20% cap makes sense. It follows the curve.
Again, I am looking at this thing academically.
Unless you can say that, all the doctors in this country, 80% are from one tribe.
Let me ask.
And we must hire doctors.
It's not even 80%. What if certain professions tend to be
dominated by?
Yes, exactly. Then what do? You see, this discussion must be had.
Is there an institution that only hires people from one profession?
No.
Or will you find an institution that the majority of their workforce is from one tribe?
Yes, that you can find. That you can find.
Maybe that's what they're talking about.
That you can find. I am simply saying, look at the extreme end of this discussion. What about communities who are small in number? They have fewer of their people educated. So where do they come in? Because some of the middle numbered communities will fill in this gap. So where do they come in?
Who? The small ones.
The really very small ones.
Small ones. They'll go into that quota, the prorated quota, 20%.
And then are we doing this across board in all disciplines?
Apparently.
Yes.
In all public sector.
All public sector.
And then what do you do if the numbers that you seek to fill don't exist?
Yeah, you can't fill from this because they're not there. You don't have qualified people. And you're not just going to mush people up there because they're from this tribe. They have to be qualified, no?
Yes.
So if you don't get, what happens?
That's why I said there is no one discipline that's dominated by one tribe.
Yeah, at the moment.
Even if you find engineers, so you may not find a Pokot engineer, okay? But it doesn't mean that you hire all engineers to be Kikuyus.
Or all Luo. Or engineers will be Luos.
Yeah.
Why not? Let me give you the rest of the headlines, then we continue. It's worth discussing. What Ruto and Kome discussed in crisis talks is also on the front page of The Nation. 280,000. Let that number sink in. That's the number of Form 1 students who are yet to join school. Okay?
280,000.
Yes, 280,000.
Right.
On the back page, this is the story. And he's reading the Riot Act. I'm not quite sure who they're... of those who sat the exam, right? Or those who left grade 8. I'm not quite sure who he's reading the Riot Act to. Chiefs, yes. But he warns parents that they risk being arrested if they fail to take their children to school. Don't bring them to school, will, put you in the slammer.
It's government. That is government for you. Umefanya headline ya Nation. Chanifanya Business Daily. Did you do that on of how they bought the weapon online?
Yes. How
You read
killers
that
bought
headline?
weapon online. You want me to read the sub?
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Detectives tell courts of the suspects in the murder of university student Rita Waini. Detectives tell court one of the suspects in the murder of university student Rita Waini bought a hatchet from an online vendor claiming it was for self-defense. Okay. But police believe the weapon was used during the murder of the 20-year-old woman whose decapitated body was found in an apartment in Kasarani. A Kiambu court has allowed police to detain for 8 days 2 Nigerians, William Opia and John Bulasibo, arrested following the killing.
What's a hatchet?
Machete. Sindo. Machete.
It's the thing that you bury when you...
You bury the hatchet when we're not having that.
So what is it?
Let bygones be bygones.
What is it? Is it a panga? Is it a knife? Is it a
It's an
sword?
axe.
It's an axe.
Is it a simi?
hatchet is an axe.
It's an axe.
Yes.
One-sided axe or double-sided axe?
One-sided.
Okay. Haya. Wacha niwaambie mambo ya Business Daily. Ruto is targeting 133 billion shillings annually from the new health insurance plan. The Ministry of Health has made the disclosures days after the High Court lifted a High Court order that had stopped the implementation of the social health insurance regulations that seek to deduct 2.75% of gross monthly income from all registered members. The collection will make SHIF the entity that's expected to replace the 57-year-old NHIF. 133 billion will mark a 69% growth on the insurance premiums that NHIF has been collecting annually. Okay? Higher. The Treasury has revealed plans to set up a company in partnership with financial institutions to de-risk lending to small businesses. They'll set up a company that will de-risk lending to small companies, including those who graduate from the Hustler Fund. The proposed, so those ones now go to the commercial banks. Commercial banks are saying, for us to give this, to lend to this watus, we need
to know that, they're up to scratch.
So the proposed Kenya Credit Guarantee Scheme company will guarantee a share of the loans commercial banks will advance to cash-strapped MSMEs. The joint venture between the government and private sector is expected to unlock higher value loans to individuals and groups whose financial needs will grow beyond the limits provided by the Hustler Fund. Haya. Kama wataki kutupatia pesa wako.
Si wakaa nayo.
Kaa nayo. Consumers woes as KPC fuel losses hit new high. The energy sector regulator set record high rates to compensate for the fuel lost along the pipeline from the port of Mombasa, pointing to an anticipated rise in inefficiencies of the Kenya Pipeline Company's network. Fuel lost along the pipeline.
Is it leaking?
It has leaked before.
But the way they're saying it is like it's a regular occurrence.
And people died.
No, this is not a tear burst. This is now regular.
Regular.
There usually some losses, maybe evaporation, maybe
when they're attaching the thing.
Yeah, some leakages here and there. Yeah, the energy sector regulator set record high rates to compensate for fuel lost along the pipeline from the port of Mombasa, pointing an anticipated rise in inefficiencies of the network.
This has to be explained, one. The pipeline losses.
Yeah.
Do you know what that portends? This is fuel. It's combustible.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Lost along the line, meaning what exactly?
It's leaking.
Leaking that now danger.
It includes the rollout of a leak detection system, the conversion of storage tanks to dome-shaped for diesel, and the floating roofs for petrol to minimize aeration and loss of product through evaporation. Pipeline losses are allowable in the transport and storage of hydrocarbons, which gets affected by temperature, density, and pressure. But fuel is also lost due to thefts and leakage along the pipeline.
That one. That one.
Yo.
We never learn, do we?
There are people who know this thing. Kuna pipeline mahali people know how to.
When the tanker falls.
Watcha.
Pipeline just there, the pipeline. You know how the palm wine tapper goes to tap the nut so that they know how to tap the pipe.
They know how to tap.
That fuel.
Drop. Now, how do they know that this time it's passing. You know, they have to work with someone inside.
Yes. How do they know that now we're releasing fuel?
It's diesel now.
Yeah.
Or it's
petrol,
or it's kerosene. Big business.
City has refused.
Big business. Talk to people along the pipeline from Nairobi to Mombasa. They'll even tell you there's some two towns. You see this town? You see how busy it is? Pipeline is not far.
I believe you. Because along that pipeline, there are all these people always stopping to sell you fuel.
And you wonder, where do they get it from?
And you haven't heard or read of a tanker that overturned or anything of that sort. But they're selling you fuel. And what I find strange is some people actually buy it. But on the other hand, there are those who siphon fuel from tankers on the road.
Yeah. That too. That's another big business.
Anyway.
Star?
Top right-hand corner, in teal green, free copy of the Star and my gov. No, it's what's written.
Oh, okay.
Azimio county bosses troop back to Raila. Where had they trooped to before?
Azimio?
Yes.
And county boss.
Several Azimio governors initially sympathetic to William Ruto's administration have apparently returned to the fold as reality dawns on them ahead of the 2027 elections.
Okay.
Wonder what this reality is.
And ahead of the election?
Yes. 2027 is far. Far. Anyway. Now this one you will like. Food for thought. Diet to blame for exam failure, studies show.
Who?
Diet. All parents wish their children would excel in school, but nutrition experts say the journey to grade A or D in KCSE exam is shaped by what you feed an infant.
This is what we talk
Brain
about
development.
undernutrition and malnutrition at...
Yes.
Okay.
An assessment by the Ministry of Health and its partners show that barring other factors, most Kenyan children are already primed for miserable grades. Meaning, as a child, if you're in this country, you've had it. According to this thing, you're doomed. Okay. Right. Kenya's diplomatic war. Kenya's solo trade deals irk EAC members. Did we not ask this question? This thing we're signing with...
They're bound to be irked.
Yeah, brother UK. Then we're signing another one with brother EU.
Sign with everybody.
Then we sign another one with brother... No, there's now grandfather US. Now, we said... Anyway, Kenya's pursuit of solo trade deals with key global markets has continued to annoy other East African Community member states amid fresh fallout with Uganda and Tanzania. Why? The East African market remains Kenya's biggest export market. Shida. Bang in the middle of the paper, plan, the DP's influence and succession changes are being challenged. This is politics. Nothing more. Gachagua faces battle for survival in Kingpin contest.
Really?
Even us, even us.
Really?
Even us. Kindiki and Uhuru Maina Njenga axis plotting against DP.
Uhuru.
There's an axis.
Maina Njenga, that's the axis.
Oh.
Yes.
So one side is Uhuru Maina Njenga.
And the other side is
Kindiki Ndindi.
Ndindi. A bit of a tongue twister. Kindiki.
Please.
Traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, not yet a build up as we would expect at this time, except coming off a Thika Superhighway, but it's even past survey. So we're looking at just there at the Pangani Underpass, where we're looking at a bumper to bumper situation. Everything else seems to be flowing freely for now, at least, getting into Tuesday proper. Are you coming off a Thika Superhighway? You're all right. But as you come through towards Garden City Mall at that junction, then it's starting to pack up. But apart from that, not much. Let's come back and see what it does around 7. Talk in the meantime on SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
They're calling crucial leads into students' murder as head recovered. The subs 2 police want the family to confirm whether head belongs to their relative, and detectives are pushing for DNA analysis to be carried out today. Detectives yesterday made a second visit to the dam in Kiamba, where a human head believed to be that of Rita Waini was recovered Sunday evening. The investigators are now focusing on CCTV footage around the dam with the hope of ascertaining the individuals who dumped the head there. So while at Kasarani DCI offices, the family of Waini held a brief meeting with investigators probing the murder. After the visit, they, together with an investigator, proceeded to the city mortuary to view the recovered head. The police want the family to confirm whether the head belongs to their relative. One of the 3 relatives who went to identify the head said the forehead of the head resembled that of Waini. Although the relatives declined to identify themselves, they proceeded to Karori police station in Kiamba in the company of detectives. So the questions back and forth in terms of who could be whom here. And according to Chief Simon Kangeve, he reported that he had received information from police elder in Kimuga village that a human head had been seen floating in the dam at Kimuga village, Kimuga sublocation in Kiamba. So they visited and, of course, retrieved the head, which had already gone into levels of decomposition, and they had confirmed that it was an unknown female adult. It was wrapped and taken. After the examination, government pathologist Johansson Odur told journalists that the killers of Waini even went ahead to clip off her fingernails in an apparent attempt to tamper with any DNA evidence. According to Odur, the person who did this also tried to clip off the nails for reasons I may not be able to know. But for us scientists, when we see fingernails clipped off, we think probably the person was trying to hide evidence so that we are unable to get his DNA from the victim. I don't know why, but in investigations, such nails help in gathering evidence. People fight when dying, and DNA evidence can be hidden there. There's a story to the right of that, and in connection to this, 2 Nigerian nationals were arraigned before Makadara law courts in connection with the murder of Rita Waini in Roysambu. William Ovie Opia and John Bull Asibor were presented before Senior Principal Magistrate Agnes Mwangi, where police sought more time to investigate them. They were arrested following this gruesome murder, and there seems to be a connection between the head that was found and these 2 gentlemen, because they say that they were in possession of a butcher's knife, a hatchet, which we've established is an axe, 6 mobile phones, several SIM cards, and they stated that they were in possession of Kenyan IDs and 3 laptops. They were found to be in the country illegally. More, insult to injury. And their passports had expired, while another one said his passport got lost a year ago. So the police want to hold them and collect samples from them. Yeah. And see what happens after the investigation.
Okay. So apparently, that hatchet thing, Ebu tell us that story. That he had bought a hatchet online.
Yes. So if let's look at the details a little bit more, and maybe the nation gives a little bit more into those details of what he had bought. Okay. So, they're suspected of killing this lady. Yeah. This is now what they've gone to. According to a police affidavit, Mr. Opia bought a hatchet online and told investigators he wanted it for self-defense. They were traced by detectives from the DCI's Criminal Research and Intelligence Bureau to a flat in Dendero, Kiambu County, where they were picked up on Sunday. Okay. Benjamin Wangila told the court yesterday that they lived far from the area where Waini's head was discovered. A hatchet, a butcher's knife, a national identity card belonging to a Kenyan, name withheld, 6 mobile phones, 3 laptops, 10 SIM cards from different telecommunication service providers, and other items were recovered from the home where they were living. They went on to say that they needed adequate time to investigate this more and collect their blood samples and DNA analysis for comparison with the samples collected from the crime scene. So it doesn't say much more about this hatchet, but it only says that he bought it for self-defense. Okay, you buy a hatchet
And
for
where he lived and where the body was discovered, not very far from
each other. Yeah.
And the body was discovered floating in a dam by locals in this Muga area.
On Sunday evening, yes. So look, if there are pieces to be put together, it's not going to take them very long to put these pieces together in terms of what happened. If they will collect samples and there will be some kind of comparison analysis, they will find it. They will put the pieces together. And I must say, I have to say that this is where you see that a security or police agency can actually do their job and do it well.
Let's hope they do it well.
Hope they do.
Because they need a lot to tie these two gentlemen
to the killing. They need
to do a
unmatched,
lot.
undoubted evidence. There has to be a direct connection.
It can't just be because you bought an axe online.
Then you're the one who killed him.
Never butcher's knife.
Yeah. And yet the forensic analysis shows that this person was hacked using a hacksaw. You have not found a hacksaw.
What did Johansson Odor say? He said that the precision of the wounds that he saw, this is somebody who took their time. They were meticulous, and it was not some ratchet.
It wasn't a shocker job. It was clear, sharp knives and sharp objects.
And this person knew what he was doing.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, including even just removing the toenails, the fingernails.
The fingernails.
It's a lot. The person that I still continue feeling for is a woman called Priscilla Minor. Priscilla Minor is the one who owns the rental apartment where this girl was killed. She had a caretaker at the building. The caretaker is the one who was running the place, and she's the one who called and said, there's been blood found in your apartment. She's in custody still.
Haba?
Yeah. She's still in custody. Remember, she was held for 10 more days.
Oh, it's true.
She's still in custody.
Yeah.
And here she's in custody because she did not take details of the people who came to stay at her place.
But she's a caretaker.
She's a caretaker. Even then, these guys are being held because they're a flight risk. They have no known permanent abode. They do not have travel documents. You do not know where you'll find them tomorrow. Priscilla Minor has a known permanent abode.
Yep.
As does the caretaker. As do the watchmen also who are picked up in this area.
Was the caretaker also taken in?
Yeah, there are 3 other people who are held.
They're helping with the investigations.
Yeah, that's what police say.
It'd be interesting to know if a word has been had with them since they were...
feel for these people, because that's, it's just finds you. And now you spend 20 odd days in police custody, and there's not much that the investigator is coming to ask you.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm interested to know if they've had a word with her over the last 7 days, 5 days, whatever.
Mama wengoja, we tutaona. Tutaona tu vile mambo yako.
Mwisho atakuja kesho, tunaishughulikia.
Acha tuone vile itaenda. Shish. Hey. Haya. That bill. Okay. Ethnic dominance in public service. Let's start from there. Known to the unknown. Ethnicity, according to the population census of 2019, the Kikuyu are 17.13% of the population in the country. In public service, the Kikuyu are 20.53% in representation. Okay. That's above their population percentage. The Kalenjin are 13.37% and they are 17.36% in public service. Luo, 10.65%. They are 11.65% in public service. Kisii are 5.68% and yet they are 7.32% occupied in public service. Luhya, 14.35% in population and they are 11.81% in population. All the ones I've read before Luhya are overrepresented. The Kikuyu and Kalenjin, there is gross overrepresentation. The Luo and Kisii, there is overrepresentation. Luhya, Mijikenda, Kenyan, Somali, Maasai, Turkana are underrepresented. Okay? No. Now, a new bill seeking a lasting solution to ethnic discrimination in public service employment proposes a reduced quota for the dominant community and imposes punitive sanctions to discourage violations that have seen a few tribes dominate jobs in state agencies. Public entities will not be allowed to employ more than a fifth or 20% of their employees from one ethnic community if Parliament approves this new bill that seeks to end discrimination in employment. The National Cohesion and Integration Bill 2023 seeks to reduce the threshold of staff that a public entity can employ or have in total staff establishment from a third, that's 30%, to a fifth, that's 20%. So currently, according to the law, the law as it stands now, no agency has broken the law.
Okay.
Because even though there is gross overrepresentation, the Kikuyu are only 20% in public service. They are not beyond 30. The Kalenjin are only 17%.
So there's no problem.
However, if you look at the percentage of the population versus percentage in job offices,
that's where you get there.
That's where now the issues start coming in. If enacted to ensure compliance, state agencies might be forced to restructure a process that could lead to job losses as institutions strive to strike a balance. I don't see that getting to that level. The nation are over-dramatizing this thing. The likelihood is that they will say, all right, so going forward, if you have reached that threshold, then you do not employ more people from this particular tribe until there is natural attrition balance. That they go out. Yeah? Bwana Muga, ambia sisi.
You know, affirmative action is good. But an honest discussion about these things must be had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
We're almost very careful because you don't want to, tip the scales of political correctness. But look, it needs to be had.
It has to be had.
Yeah.
It has to be had.
And there are reasons as to why this happens. And then affirmative action, if you're looking at jobs as an outcome, as an output, then you must look at what are the inputs.
Yes, and percentages.
Education and all. How many schools do you have in the marginal areas?
Oh, yes.
So how many people, what percentage
how many tertiary
of
institutions do you have?
Yeah.
It's
many layers.
Extremely many layers. But also significantly, percentages can lie. Let me explain to you what I mean. You'll find that if you're looking at this thing, Kenyan speak overallly, you will find that you can say it is this percentage, but let's break this thing down institution by institution. You will find overrepresentation, if we use that term, when it comes to institutions. Like you'll find, for instance, let's go to the, say, Kenya Ports Authority. Okay? You will find that for the longest time, two communities dominated the numbers of people who are employed. They were Luos, they were Manyala. Okay?
Who are the Manyala? Where do they live?
Busia.
All right. So Busia has Manyala, has Teso, has who else?
Samia. And others.
Okay.
But you see, before KPA was KPA, there was cargo handling and East African ports and harbors, and then Kenya Ports Authority.
Okay.
Then it was merged. Now, if you look at cargo handling, what they did was precisely that. They were stevedores, people who did the heavy lifting. Now, very many of the people who ended up doing this were what you call Watuabara, upcountry people. And so they were not challenged for those jobs. They came in large numbers and they did those jobs. Okay. So what that meant is, over time, you would find that historically, when you left a job in those olden days, you could actually bring in your son to take over the job that you had before.
It was passed down.
It was practice, yes. So the overrepresentation started a long time ago. Now, over time, other communities got employed. But you see, it takes quite a bit of time before that balance is created.
That's true.
You will go to other institutions, and I'm talking about government institutions. Depending on who headed it and where he came from, there's a push that people have in a position of authority to help people get jobs. It didn't start last year. It has always been there.
There's an expectation.
Yes. And you're judged. People say, but Nani doesn't help people. Help means you don't find them jobs. So because of this push, you'd find very many people, if they were at the helm of a certain institution, their community was then represented because he employed very many people. Okay? And we know, you'll find this institution, you'll find it's predominantly a certain community. You'll go to another institution, it's predominantly another community, and so forth. So this exercise is good. But let me repeat, the honest conversation, and you said it well. Let's go back to how this thing happened, and then let's look at what it is that has been done to ensure that the furtherance of this. And again, educational institutions, ECDs, now primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary, all that. Yes. How many national schools are there in that particular area? When you understand this, then it will be easy to understand why you will find what we may refer to as dominance. Yes. Enough said.
Well said.
Thank you very much. I am not going to talk about this. I want to look at diet. They get poor diet until age 2, and some brain cells never develop. This is sub. D for diet. Studies show most kids likely to get D grades over poor nutrition. This is an article written by John Mushangi. John Mushangi is a science journalist, for the Star. All parents wish their children would excel in school, but nutrition experts say the journey to grade A or D in Kenya's Certificate of Secondary Education is shaped by what you eat as an infant. An assessment by the Ministry of Health and its partners show that, barring other factors, most Kenyan children are already primed for miserable grades. Some brain cells must receive certain minerals by age 2, or they will never develop properly. If by age 2, these things have not featured, you are done for. This means after the exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, caregivers and parents must carefully introduce the right foods for maximum brain development. The food must be rich in proteins, fatty acids, micronutrients that are important for brain growth. But most Kenyan parents, 69%, complement breastfeeding with mashed potatoes, bananas, and other frothy foods that lack key minerals.
That's it?
Let me repeat it. Most Kenyan parents, that is 69% of them, complement breastfeeding with mashed potatoes, bananas, and other frothy foods that lack these key minerals. The situation is laid bare in 4 reports published last week by the Ministry of Health, UNICEF, and non-profit Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, GAIN, in the Science Journal Maternal and Child Nutrition. The consequences of poor nutrition include mortality, morbidity, and delayed mental and motor development in childhood, and associated with impaired intellectual performance, work capacity, reproductive outcomes, overall health throughout adulthood, the nutritionist said. Complementary feeding, the practice of providing infants and young children with a variety of nutrients and safe foods while continuing to breastfeed, is essential for their health and development.
So giving children mashed is not good.
It's not enough.
So when you say over 60%
69
of parents are doing this, does it mean that over 69% of children are at the risk of D?
Yes. That 1 plus 1 equals 2. Yes. So, but you see, if you look at what we call traditional diets, and look at the array of things that people ate, you're talking about vegetables. Let's start there. Okay, and how these things were cooked. The brain did get the food it required.
What I'm wondering is that what mashed potatoes, bananas, and what? Another frothy. Those are not.
They don't have nutritional value.
No, they do. They do.
For children at that age, though.
Yes, at that age, they are good. They give you energy. They give you energy.
Yeah.
But yellow pumpkin, what's it called? That one.
Oh. Maleng.
The other one.
There's a name.
The smaller one.
It's butternut.
Butternut. Those ones.
Again, let me repeat. They are good for you, but if that is all you give,
it's not sufficient.
Yes, it is good, but
so you have to continue doing the breast milk.
Yes. Ask yourself, what does milk have in
calcium.
Plenty? Yes, calcium, brain
vitamin.
Food.
Is it A?
E.
Okay, if I can remember.
Yes.
Okay.
So, this thing, my friend, now research has answered that question.
That's
so
very.
So the message here is just breastfeed this child until what age?
6 months exclusively.
2.
And then 2 years.
Then continue.
By 2, you need. This is the crucial point. They must get the right things before they get to 2.
So for 2 years, breastfeed. And then even as you wean, you must think about what else you're giving this child to supplement the breast milk.
Yes.
Na umesema waru hapana?
Sweet potato is not bad.
Let me just read for you the things that you need to be eating.
Can they do this research in Kenya?
Mingi sana.
They should do this research in Kenya.
Some
They have problem with their warrants.
No. Some of this research was actually done in Kenya, and what I'm reading here is not unknown. This is not new. This what we're discussing here is not new in the annals of science. Believe me, it's not new.
Okay, news time.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Oseto. The Ministry of Health has set the ball rolling with the opening up of the space for public participation in the regulations that will guide the implementation of the SHIF Act. In a statement, the Health CS, Susan Hamiche, is asking members of the public to present their views on the two sets of regulations, either through written memoranda or through physical and virtual meetings that will be held for this purpose. The Ministry is seeking views on the Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2024, which will provide for the implementation of the Primary Health Care Fund, the Social Health Insurance Fund, the Emergency Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, and the Social Health Insurance Dispute Resolution Tribulation Regulations of 2024. Now, 2 Nigerian nationals arrested in connection with the gruesome murder and the dismemberment of a Kenyan woman, Rita Waini, will be held in custody for 8 days while detectives work around the clock to solve the cold-blooded murder. The 2 suspects, William O.V. Opia and John Bull Asibor, were arraigned before the Chief Magistrate Magadara Law Courts Monday, a week after the murder at a rented room in Roysambu, according to a Directorate of Criminal Investigation officer stationed at Kasarani Police Station. The 2 were arrested in a rented flat in Denderu, Kiambu County. Now, as the Tallow Oil Company seeks to resume the extraction of oil in Turkana County by April, residents of Turkana South and Turkana East have begun registering their community's land to obtain title deeds for the compensation they expect to receive from the project. Over 600 trucks are needed to transport crude oil from Turkana's Lokichar area to Changamwe in Mombasa County. Members of the Loperot community, who are over 300 oil wells are expected to be dug, have kicked off a drive to register their land, saying they do not want compensation for their land to go to the county government as it happened during the first phase of the project. And then Claimed Financial Assets Authority has urged Kenyans to collect their money, which is being kept at the Central Bank of Kenya. UFAA Chairperson Francis Njenga stated that the authority will be at the Moi Stadium in Embu tomorrow, where Kenyans are invited to claim their assets. Speaking in Embu, Njenga said the authority has been to Thika, Kisumu, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Nakuru and Muranga, where Kenyans have been able to collect their money. He added that the claims take 7 to 14 days to be processed, and Kenyans can file their claims by dialing *361# or visiting the UFAA website. And the General Service Officer linked to the murder of a woman in Nairobi's Langata neighborhood will be remanded for 21 days while investigations into the alleged killings continue. This is according to an order issued by the Kibera Magistrate Court, where the suspect Victor Otieno Oma was arraigned. Oma appeared before Senior Principal Magistrate Irene Kahuya after being linked to the death of a 28-year-old woman who allegedly jumped to her death on Sunday, January 14th. And 6 suspects have been arrested in connection to Sunday's shooting of Laikipia rancher Lucy Wambui Jennings. Laikipia West Sub-County Police Commander Benjamin Muhia says police are trailing more suspects and seeking to nab the weapon used in the shooting incident. The 50-year-old rancher, who is currently receiving treatment in hospital, was waylaid by the assailants as she was on her way to church and was shot in the back of her head and her arm. And direct residents of Odiero Estate in Karapul Sub-County, Siaya, took matters into their own hands, lynching a suspected burglar who was caught attempting to break into a house by cutting the metal grill of a window. The incident unfolded at around 3:58 a.m. when a tenant who operates a border board in the area noticed the suspect. He promptly raised an alarm and, with the help of colleagues, confronted the suspect outside the gate as he attempted to escape. In the ensuing attempt to apprehend the suspect, he turned aggressive, injuring 3 individuals with a panga. And the suspect is currently in critical condition at a local hospital in Nyeri after facing a violent confrontation with an angry mob. The incident arising from suspicions of the suspect's involvement in his wife's death has started shock within the community. Okoh location Chief Michael Gundu confirmed the suspect's condition, noting that he is receiving medical care under police observation. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asset. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, not a sore spot this morning, except on the Thika Superhighway, and there's traffic coming in well in from Garden City, and it's bumper to bumper as you head in through to Survey and then out towards the CBD. As you get to Murang'a Road, you'll be fine. Kiambu Road is packed up already, and we're looking at heavy traffic also on Limuru Road as you're coming into the city as you come in from Ngara. All right, also on Jogo Road this morning, right around Makadara, there's that traffic, and it's starting to build up on Landis as you get towards the Kamkunji roundabout. You'll be fine on Outer Ring for the most part. There's no traffic really coming in from Cabanas North Airport Road at this moment, but there's a little bit inbound traffic from the Eastern Bypass as you're trying to get towards Mombasa Road at some point. All right. We're also looking at traffic on Langata Road. It's coming out towards Wilson Airport and then touching a little bit on Aerodrome as you get towards Uhuru Highway. We're just getting into it. Let's see what happens as we get into traffic hour proper. In the meantime, let's talk on SpiceFM, KE on X.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room. This is Kenya's biggest conversation on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, on YouTube, and on Facebook. On this 23rd day of 2024, we're getting into very many conversations, including the one that we are about to have. So, the Ministry of Health has published the regulations to the UHC. Okay? Now, the Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2023, seeking to operationalize this Social Health Insurance Act. What does it mean as we roll out the universal health coverage with the laws that were passed last year in Parliament? That's a conversation that we'll be having shortly. We are joined by a policy analyst and a researcher, Dr. Jackson Otieno, who is in the studio with us. Good morning, Dr.
Morning, Eric.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you so much.
How does it feel? You feel comfortable?
Yeah, quite comfortable.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Yes. Feel at home. One of the things that we do to make you feel at home is tell you why you need to buy a kiwi, and let me go to the shop so I can tell you.
Well done.
Kubwa.
Thank you. You see the way Eric has gone to the shop.
Thank you. The shop is so close though.
The shop is very close. See, this is a good thing already.
Just way is lighter than the normal kiwi though.
You don't worry about that.
Okay,
now,
sure. Thanks.
that we've gone to the shop,
yes,
that's the same thing I would like you to do.
Okay.
So we're asking folks, go to the shop, pick up a tin of kiwi, but it must be this one that has the new logo. All right? New logo kiwi says, on it there's a starburst, and you'll see a number, *459 *5#. You see it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you're going to pick up your phone and you're going to dial that number. When you pop the lid of the kiwi that you will buy in the shop, not this one, you will find a code under the lid, right? Mm-hmm. And you put that code in once you've dialed that number on the starburst. Mm-hmm. Beautiful things begin to happen thereafter. You will get airtime and you will get data. Nobody's asking you to pay for it. They'll give it to you because you bought the kiwi. Right?
Yeah, sure.
The second beautiful thing then happens after that. You enter into a draw Imagine just entering into a draw to see if you could win something. Now, the third beautiful thing happens after that. Should you be one of the 4 that are selected, 35,000 shillings of school fees then is won by yourself. It goes towards school fees, direct. So you can decide, I've won this 35,000 shillings. I'm not in school. I don't have children in school. You can send it to somebody else. Not to them, but to the school where they are in. So you can do it for you. You can do it for somebody else. Step up and shine with Kiwi.
Sure.
Like that.
I do. I like that.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Very good. Also telling you about water. You know, water is not just water. See, maji. Maji is water with a pure taste of water. And what makes that water taste? It's because of where it's come from. Maji ya mtaro has its taste. It has found many impurities on its way. Right? Maji ya mvua has... And then there's the water that we call mineral water. Why is it called mineral water? It's because of the source, where it's come from, through the rocks of the earth, and then bubbles out. And if you bottle it at source, then you maintain the minerals. Which one are we talking about?
Magnesium.
Calcium.
Daktari.
Not sure of these minerals.
That is a good response.
It is those minerals. If you buy Keringet mineral water, right, you look at the bottle and you'll see the minerals. And why is that so, City? Why is it important when you think of the minerals?
Well, your body does need them. When you talk about nutrition, that's what nutrition is all about. Your body needs, when you eat the food that you eat, your food has ingredients, and some of those ingredients are minerals. And you'll be told what your body needs as a child, you'll be told what your body needs when you're growing, you'll be told what your body needs now when you're fully grown. And the only way you can grow is sideways. You are informed.
And because it comes from the ground up, from our own natural earth and rocks, we talk about its richness. The richness of Keringet water is the richness of the minerals that it contains. So we are celebrating the richness of Keringet this morning. Karibu sana to the conversation.
Great.
City has the day's proverb. This week, the man has gone to Northwest Africa, the kingdom of
semi-permanent constitutional kingdom monarchy.
It is the
Morocco.
kingdom of Morocco.
Okay.
And what my colleagues are struggling with here is to explain the sort of government that they have. Okay, let me read it out so that I also don't miss out. It's rather lengthy. Okay, it's a unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy.
That's what we said.
That's exactly what you said.
Unitary.
It is a unitary parliamentary semi-constitutional monarchy.
Very good. Very good.
Yes. Which means it has king. And the king is called Mohammed VI.
Oh.
Yes. So there were 5 other Mohammeds before him. All right?
Or kings.
Sorry, kings.
5 other King Mohammed.
Yes, sorry.
All right. Safaricom 0722000000 Safaricom.
Yes.
Maybe nimeshinda kitu.
Okay.
I don't know. I will not pick it.
No, it will be good to share after this.
Yes.
I will not pick it now that I haven't picked it. Anyway, the proverb, City.
The proverb. Little and lasting is better than much and passing.
Little and lasting is better than much and passing. Dr. Otieno, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
Yeah, so little and lasting is better than
much
and
passing.
Of course, the interpretation that I would have is around sustainability. You'd rather you have something that you probably may have it for the unforeseeable future than have so much that not so long from then you may not be able to have that. So rather little that lasts than much that passes. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
you
that
put
is
it
my
beautifully.
context. Yeah,
You put it very well.
It's a good one.
It is.
You think the Moroccans are discouraging ambition?
No, I don't think they're discouraging ambition. They're discouraging greed.
It's ambition, buana.
Greed. Ambition and greed are not the same thing. No. See, greed often employs exclusion.
Yeah.
You and you alone, and you and a few of your people alone.
And you keep wanting to have more
and more. And there's no limit as to how much you want. That's greed. Ambition is you want to do things. Okay? And
so nothing is enough to someone who does not know what enough is.
Yes, exactly. You see, ambition is you wanting to achieve something. And it could include wanting to amass wealth or get a lot of it. But you see, that's where greed comes in. Greed is when we see a certain sense of limitlessness. You do not know when to apply brakes.
You don't know how much is enough.
No, you actually have no clue. And you exhibit it.
Okay. Dr. Jackson Otieno is a senior researcher and policy analyst at the African Institute for Development Policy. What's that?
African Institute for Development Policy is a Pan-Africa institute on research and policy that tries to bridge that gap between policy, research, and practice. Just looking at even the proverb that has just come from Morocco, it talks of little that lasts, better than much that disappears after a while. So, from a policy context, we look at trying to make informed decisions. We're trying to help policymakers make informed decisions. So we work in the area or in the space of evidence generation that supports decision making. And one of the things that we do is to try also and pass that capacity to the policymakers so that they're in a position of being able to make decisions that are informed, decisions that will give rise to that which lasts. Because when you say you are producing evidence, at looking at evidence, you are looking at all scenarios that presents to you. So then, even when you go wrong, you've taken the most optimistic, the most pessimistic, and then that which puts you into the problem is the most optimal at that point. So at the African Institute for Development Policy, we work in 5 areas. Those are priority areas. We work in health and well-being. We work in education and skills. We work on issues of population and sustainable development. We also work in the area of environment and climate change. And finally, all these, you cannot have all these narratives without having to factor in that aspects of the gender. We mainstream gender in all our works as an institute.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you attached to any public institution, any government institution in the area, in the countries that you work in?
Yes, we work across the entire Africa, and actually in our work, we work with the government. So if you say, if you look at the Ministry of Health, we do quite a number of things with the Ministry of Health around some of the topics that we are going to discuss. If you talk about the devolved level government entities, the Council of Governors, the counties, we work with all these entities in trying to support the work that they do around these areas of interest to the institution.
So do they pay you? What's in it for you when you do all this research and then you present it to government? Let's say the Ministry of Health, you're working very closely with the Ministry of Health on matters of universal health coverage. Are you selling your services to the ministry?
Not really.
What are you doing?
They don't pay us. We work together because essentially as an international NGO, of course, and as a Pan-African institute, you want to contribute to the development of your country. So we really don't look to be paid by the government, but we provide them with the capabilities that they are able to do what they do better. So on the contrary, we support some of the projects that the government do, not them paying us. So what is in it for us? What is in it for us is that we want an African that is informed by evidence in decision making, especially at the policy level.
So who pays you?
we are financed or we are funded by different donors, and the financing depends on which projects are being implemented. And of course, you understand that donors also have donor interests.
Yep.
Yeah, so the interests cut across. For example, the project that I lead as the director, the project is funded by Bill and Melinda Gates for a period of 3 or so years. It is on advancing domestic health financing, both in Kenya, Uganda, Malawi, and Zambia, where the project is being implemented. At the regional level, we work with AU to support the commitments that AU as well make around aspects of health financing or the universal health coverage. Yeah, so basically for that, it is financed by Bill and Melinda Gates.
Some word you've used there, advancing domestic health financing.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So advanced domestic health financing, of course, we as African countries, we rely fairly more on donor support to finance some of our projects around health, especially the vertical programs that donors heavily finance. Looking at the current health expenditure, which previously, if you look at the national health accounts, they used to call it the total health expenditure. The national figure is around, it has grown to around 500 billion. And of the 500 billion, you find the donors finance around 18% of that. Of course, other contributors, government, private sector, the out-of-pockets or the household, all make part of that money that we call the total health of the current health expenditure. But now, Kenya in around 2014 was classified as a low-middle income country. And with that came the transitioning, the donor transitioning, as far as it goes in the health sector. So many of these donors are moving. And if you look at the statistics around donor financing over the last few years, it has moved from a high of over 40% to currently 18%. But then now who covers that gap? Now, whoever covers that gap, that is what now brings us to looking at how do we mobilize domestic resources to finance health, because the current level of financing is far below the optimal. Ideally, when you look at what is given as commitments, the commitments, for example, under the Abuja is 15% or 50% of government revenues. Currently, we're just about 11% or thereabout. So there's still a huge gap that needs to be covered. So the whole issue is to try more and more to finance health interventions using resources that are generated within our systems.
Okay. So maybe we can look at the stock of this just a little bit more. When we talk about health financing, the assumption is that, all right, money or funds that can be gotten to then have them applied across board for certain things to happen. But are we not going a little bit deeper than that based on what you've said? So it's not to buy equipment only. It's to make sure that facilities are properly stocked. It's to make sure that people are paid. It's to make sure that research is being done, isn't it?
Sure.
Right now, the source, the conversations that we're having currently about the new health rollout, is that the bulk of these funds, at least at a certain level, will come from your deductions, right?
Yep.
Is that adequate? Put against the face of the need, are the deductions from individuals who are on these schemes adequate for the health financing that is required to make universal health coverage a reality?
So the entire health financing landscape is a bit more, much more than the conversation, because when you look at where we are coming from a system of national health insurance, a fund kind of system. which also had its own issues. And as we transit to the social health insurance, maybe we could go back and ask ourselves the question on what does UHC look like?
Mm-hmm.
And if UHC looks like what it does, then how is the current narrative addressing the UHC? Because we not only look at the issues of additional money to finance health, that is not the only problem that we're having as a country and as in the health sector. No, we're also having efficiency issues. So there's even more money when you look at efficiency than you look at additional financing. The money we lose out of an inefficient system that these bills are trying to address would at least put extra monies before the ministries and other health practitioners for more.
So it's not enough?
So the money, of course, you will never say the money is enough. I would not say anything is enough. No, it is not going to be enough. That would be a lie, because we are talking of the 2.7%. Let's do statistics. Let's do some maths on the 2.75%. And the 2.75%, that is across board. So look at the informal, look at the formal sector.
Yep.
That you and I and a few more other people who make, in the employment statistics, the formal sector makes around less than 20%. It is actually 17 or thereabout. So the informal sector makes around 82%. So the 2.7% definitely will make a difference. We are likely to get just about twice what we currently probably have, or 3 times of what we currently have. That is, if we are able to collect that money.
Do we know, because we know the number of people who are in formal employment,
yes,
because we know how they remit their pay as you earn. Because of the remittance of pay as you earn, then we are also able to tell how much they earn.
Yes.
So do we know how much those who are formally employed make in total as their pay?
Yes.
Because this 2.75 is from their gross pay.
Yes.
So how much is this going to contribute? Just that 2.75%. How much is it going to bring in?
Yeah. So taking most recent surveys, looking at the most recent surveys and working that figure out, because it is already in there, you are finding that those in the I think in the public sector are likely to bring on board an additional 44 billion shillings, and those in the private sector are likely to bring around about 20 billion or so additional
per year.
No, per
month.
Yes. Is it per month or per year? I have to call.
It cannot be per month.
I think it's per year. It's per year.
So public sector, an addition 40?
Around 44.
And the private?
This one you can work out because the surveys has the figures. Just work it out on the gross, and you should be able to arrive at around 66 or thereabout. Billion.
64 billion.
Yes, additional. Additional.
By addition, we mean in addition.
Yeah, so that one we are excluding other interventions from the government in form of appropriation to the sector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so from the informal then,
yes,
how much would we be raising? Because then the informal is not pegged on the 2.75%.
Yes.
Or how would we calculate how much we're getting from the informal sector?
So the informal is one where it is more interesting there. And I think if you look at achieving what you want to achieve in terms of additional resources to health, then more focus then need to go to the informal sector. Currently, there is the discussion around the use of mean testing to arrive at what households in the informal sector should be able to pay. And of course, some of the informal sector players would be easily reached, given that it's not really that very informal. Their footprints, the business footprints, could be tracked. But the use of mean testing comes on board with a number of parameters which help test issues around socioeconomic status of households. So that which is now key then, or the driver then, would be the use of data, availability of quality data. the dynamism around informal sector also calls for an instrument that is a bit dynamic, because today I'm in the informal sector A, tomorrow I am in B. Today I'm doing well, tomorrow I'm doing badly off. And you are saying issues around equity. You are saying that you want to provide health without putting me into financial difficulties. Yet you remember yesterday I was doing fishmongering. It never did well and actually lost everything. That was one of the parameters probably used to arrive at what I'm supposed to pay. Yes. Now the next day I'm different in a different kind of sector. I'm not doing well. So if you were to wait for maybe say a year or so to come and use the same tool to test my economic status, I would have been hurt over that period of time. So then that means that data-driven decision-making becomes very important. And I hope somebody somewhere is sitting or thinking around
crunching the numbers.
How to crunch those numbers, how to track, how to monitor those issues.
One can only hope, Dr. I want us to take a break and then Siti, you'll ask a question. I know you have several. One can only hope. Siti, please tell Dr. about Maramoja. Now that he's, he works for a Pan-African organization and he's in the country and he needs to move around.
He really probably needs to move around now.
I'm in Kenya. So.
Well, even in Kenya, you need to move. Unless you want to walk everywhere. If you want to walk everywhere, good for you. Okay, but should you decide that you want to move using a motor vehicle, we want to suggest that you take Maramoja Taxi. And for a very simple reason. There are very many apps in this country. Cab hailing. Hailing. Not ailing. Hailing apps. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now, Maramoja is Kenyan. And if you look at the value it brings with it, it seeks to meet a Kenyan need. One, look at how the drivers who have this app speak of it. They say of the apps that they use, it pays them the best. Now, for the person who wants to use this app, the other values. When you've registered and you want to hail an app, you will be asked to indicate a certain promo code. Now the promo code is SPICE30. When you enter that promo code, it automatically gives you a 30% discount. Maramoja have a wallet, meaning you can load money into that wallet and you use as you need. As soon as you load that money, you get 50% of what you've just loaded. So the benefits are clear. Even if your understanding of maths ends at 1 + 1, this is easy. It is 1 + 1 and it equals 2.
Yes.
There are very many benefits. And the only way you'll find that these benefits are true is if you actually hail a cab using the Maramoja app. And to do so, Google Maramoja Transport Company.
Yes.
You'll come across a blue app. Blue. Now, very simple. Name, phone number, email address. That's all you need. And then you're told, proceed.
Bas. Maramoja taxis are available in Nairobi, in Mombasa, in Kisumu, in Eldoret, in Nakuru, in Naivasha. Everywhere, Doctor, you want to go. Let's take a break. Dr. Jackson Otieno is a senior researcher and policy analyst at the African Institute for Development and Policy. We are talking about understanding health financing and the benefits of the universal health coverage laws. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Step up and shine. It's that time of the year to win big with Kiwi. Stand a chance to win school fees worth 35,000 Kenya shillings weekly and instant airtime or data. Here is what you simply need to do. Visit your nearest store, buy any participating Kiwi tin with a fabulous new design nationwide. Dial *459*5#, enter the unique code you'll find under the lid, and you could be the next winner. Kiwi, your trusted partner to protect, shine, and waterproof your shoes. Terms and conditions apply.
Across Africa, a new era has begun, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future. Together. EcoBank. A better way, a better Africa.
When you are born from African soil, you are born rich, rich in who you are, with a natural richness from Mother Nature herself, just like our still mineral water, which is naturally filtered through Kenyan lands and made rich by a perfect blend of nature's minerals, giving you premium still mineral water made by the same African soil that made you. Keringet. Own your richness.
Partly sunny in Nairobi. It's 14 degrees. Highs of 25. We'll see highs of 25 as well in a mostly sunny Nakuru, and it's 12 degrees and sunny in Nyeri. It'll go to highs of 26. 23 will be the high in a mostly sunny Eldoret at 12. Mombasa this morning is sunny at 26 with highs of 33, and Malindi will go to highs of 32 where it's sunny at 26. It's 20 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 28, while Kakamega at 15 is sunny and will rise to highs of 28 through Tuesday. Still raining in Kampala at 19 with highs of 27, while Dar es Salaam is cloudy at 28. It'll go to highs of 32. Johannesburg this morning sunny at 16 with highs of 26, while Mogadishu is partly sunny at 24 with highs of 33, and at 11 degrees Addis Ababa is sunny, highs of 24, while Lagos is partly cloudy at 26. We'll see highs of 33, and it's cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 24.
Chilled Spice.
All right, Tuesday's not so crazy, except you're on the Thika Superhighway, and then it's all kinds of crazy because it's coming in heavy from well, where is this? Okay, this is just past GSU, and then also in from the Outer Ring Junction. Also on Kiambu Road this morning, all the way from DCI headquarters and beyond, heavy traffic, bumper to bumper. Many lanes, folks trying to get towards Muthaiga Square, as well as on Limuru Road this morning. Usual suspects, heavy with traffic, as well as on Jogo Road. Uhuru Highway will have its bits and bobs of traffic as you try to make your way into the city. Talk to us through this morning. Let us know what's going on where you are. We'll talk on SpiceFM. KE on X.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice
continues on Spice FM, on KTN Home, on YouTube and on Facebook with Dr. Jackson Otieno, Senior Researcher and Policy Analyst at the African Institute for Development Policy. Dr. now that you work at an Pan-African organization, let's tell you about another Pan-African institution called EcoBank.
Imagine an institution that allows you to transact when you're on one end of the continent and your business needs to be done to another. And that's what EcoBank offers, a Pan-African bank, the only one, one of the only ones on the continent, and saying, let's come together and make transactions seamless, let's make them simple, and let's draw together everyone to be able to work seamlessly through this banking system with branches throughout the country, throughout the continent, as well as in different parts of the world, Asia, Middle East and Europe. EcoBank has made it that much more seamless. And thinking about where other Africans come together, the AFCON is taking place, as you know, up Nigeria. And we are saying that the EcoBank has put together, is also putting their support behind this tournament. As Africans come together, the bank that brings Africans together with their transactions is saying, think of a better way, a better day, a better Africa with EcoBank.
CT, ask the questions.
Okay. You know, there's a term in health financing called costing. You want to finance, but what is it that you're financing? So you start with the costing. You determine this thing that we want to finance. Let's itemize and look at the details of what this thing is. If we're talking about a disease, let's understand what this disease is, and let's understand what is needed to eliminate it, to eradicate it, reduce it, whatever is necessary. There's what you call top-down costing, okay? Now, there are other types of costings in health, but they all relate to understanding what it is that you're spending money on in detail. Now, I am certain people who are in health financing do this better than anybody else. It also tells me that people like Dr. here work with, among other people, health economists, people who understand. Now, when I'm looking at this push and the pull that we have with UHC, and I look at what we've been told is the plan, it tells me some thought went into it, and some of these professionals were involved. And that is why the preventative aspect of healthcare seems to have been given attention for the first time in a very, very long time. Okay, now, the actualization of it. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have been known to finance research for the longest time on this continent. I myself, I worked in projects that have been financed by them, so I know. Like the discordant couple studies that were carried out in the western part of the country, they were predominantly financed by Bill and Melinda Gates. When it comes to UHC, I want to understand, what is the focus of financing specifically? What exactly are you hoping to help finance? Either raise finance for or actually help in financing, specifically?
So when it comes to the UHC, and let's go back first and demystify that whatever is going on has come with the current government, and that it is this government's idea. So if you look at sustainable development goals, the goal on health, and you look at the indicator on universal health financing, the 8th indicator on universal health financing, already the World Health Organization contributing to that debate, so that the way to universal health coverage, which was significantly low, of course Kenya does fairly well when you look at its neighbors, but it has always been quite low. And for you to ensure that everyone has access to, because that's the universal definition of universal health coverage, everyone has access to health, quality health, when and where it is needed, within the continuum of health services, be it preventive, promotive, be it treatment, be it curative, be it rehabilitative, be it palliative. One should have all access to all these health services without any financial burden. So that is the genesis of the universal, the definition of the universal health care. But then they go on and say, to arrive at the universal health care, the best vehicle around it would be to promote primary health care interventions. Because when you do so, more than 80%, 90% of health challenges are actually eliminated by just focusing on primary health care. And evidence is there. You saw during the periods of COVID. It was better you just don't go to the hospital. It is better you just wash your hands, put the mask, because once you go to the hospital, you are out of the control of what could have been preventive.
Yeah.
So investment in preventive health services, even as we speak, I think the emphasis around primary health services is what is being championed for building, for actually addressing comprehensively. Of course, you mentioned about the push, and as I'd mentioned earlier, we have found ourselves in some of the spaces around where the discussions on some of the acts that we now have taken place. We have found ourselves as part of those the teams that are involved in the costing for the essential benefit package. And I agree with you. Of course, sometimes it is good to go back to the African say, the Morocco say. Yeah, you may want to look at things from a sustainable way. And I'm sure those who work in the spaces where they are involved directly in those aspects take cognizance of coming with the right cost for the essential benefit packages. True, as you put it, if you look at the investments around preventive healthcare, it is mind-boggling in the sense that the government invests just about 8%. It invests 8% in that. It invests 27% in the curative. It invests 53 or thereabout % in policy and other issues. So now, maybe this, one of the advantages or one of the issues that this act will address, maybe to try and increase the allocation towards the realization,
or just or invert
the two. Ask the question based on what CT was saying, that these bodies, ministry, the organizations who work around health are made up of different individuals. When we think about health, we think doctors. Right? But that's
pharmacists.
not pharmacists. That's not the case. They're policy people. They're financing people. They're health economists who work and advise around these things. So the question is, it's not about here is the money, here's we're going to allocate it. There's some science that goes behind it, isn't it?
Sure.
So if they have been the experts who have said this is what we ought to do, knowing that the push should be towards preventive and not curative, invert those numbers. It's not. We've not come up with that in this room. We haven't. It's been the voice from medical practitioners for easily a decade, and they've been saying there is so much burden on the curative aspect of health, and we're spending a lot of money on that, and we're still not winning. So how about we take all of this energy, or rather a large chunk of this energy and resource, and put it on the preventative aspect, so that we spend less here. I mean, it's basic understanding. So why doesn't it happen? Because even in these new regulations, the emphasis is not on curative, is not on preventative care. And so the question continues to be, year after year, we say what we know needs to be done, but we don't do it. And so we can, and now that's the buzzword, isn't it? Health financing, it sounds so great. But we are not doing what needs to actually be done. When we talk about preventative care, look at the hospitals, look at the medical facilities today where running water sometimes is an issue. That's an aspect of preventative care. When we talk about somebody has a wound that has a slight abscess, but they can't get basic care to take care of that, and then it turns into something else, we go then towards the curative. Why are we not dealing with those things? We have the expertise, we have the knowledge, we have the advice. In a lot of cases, we have some of the resources. You talked about inefficiency. All of these things are working in tandem so that this thing doesn't work. So why do we have this expertise? Why do we have the resource in terms of human beings, but we are not applying what they are advising?
Okay. So that's a good question. And maybe let me mention that there is this principle. It's mostly used in devolution, but you can borrow it in this situation. The subsidiarity principle, where we say resources follow functions. Yes. This principle calls for financing activities. If you say you have devolved activities, then you must also devolve the resources thereof.
Yeah.
The question of why haven't we been able to actualize primary health care, even where everyone knows that is what's supposed to be done? I would look at it from a point of a legislation kind of point. You know, now we have the legislation around primary health care, which is the Primary Health Care Act. And over and above that, we have the legislation around Primary Health Care Fund. I think the Act is clear about what is to be done, how it is to be done, and how it is to be financed. The unfortunate part of our planning and budgeting, of course, planning and budgeting, you may actually have allocations. You may say primary healthcare has been allocated so much money, which is fine.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that eventually it would end up getting that money. In fact, if you look at the expenditure composition currently at both national and devolved levels, I've just given you the composition at the national level. If you look at the devolved level now and look at that expenditure composition, even around health, what eventually even goes to interventions is very few, because much of that health resource, you find it goes to the recurrent expenditure.
Yep.
And when you open up the recurrent expenditure, it just goes to payments of salaries. You see.
But let me ask this question.
Yes.
And I ask it respectfully.
Oh, sure.
When people who work in the space that you are in come in to assist, don't you think that you become enablers? Because the government seems to have determined that certain functions must be funded by donors. So it's like they sit back, knowing full well the donors are going to come in to intervene. I look at the amount of funding in terms of billions that PEPFAR has funded Kenya over the last, 20 years? That amount of money could have overhauled the entire healthcare system in this country. Overhauled it completely. But it did not. And much as it was supposed to be an emergency fund, emergency means at some point the emergency will end. But I look at the attitude and how the government approached it and how the government was prepared in pulling away and taking over some of those functions. It is clear that they had assigned those roles to that fund and they were not really very willing to take part now. Here you come in with something noble, something good, and something that is needed. How do you ensure that the government will then take over and do the very things that you are now doing? Because I'm certain part of your mandate is to train people and to build capacity.
Yeah, sure. I think I would take the point of enabler in a positive way. It is our desire to enable the government undertake some of these activities in a better way. And that is why, as part of the project, we would want to leave that capacity that, of course, motivate the government to base the decision that it makes on issues of evidence. So that is what we want to enable the government to do. And I think what is important at the point where we are is first to appreciate the efforts around legislation. At least now, as very good litigant Kenyans, someone who is unsatisfied with the way things are run, they have a foundation to rush to court and say this is not happening. So having said that, there are issues. We are now moving from the conversation around more money for the health. The government and the systems have put sufficient efforts that if well implemented, we could say more comfortably that as even the donors phase out, it would be reasonably manageable to take over some of these donors' interventions or activities. Very, very well. But now, when we now come for more health for the money, how we are able to get better services for money, value for money, return on investment from the investments that we make in money, then I think the question that you talk about borders on the issues of governance. And if you look at the UHC has 3 pillars. So pillar number 1 is on health services, which we have addressed. We have put in place measures that are transformational in terms of bettering health services. I'm not saying the services are good. I'm saying that there is...
You're not even saying they exist.
I'm not even saying they exist. Okay. I'm saying that there is a platform to make them exist and to make them better.
Okay.
Yes, we have moved on to aspects of health financing. That's the second pillar of universal health care. And you have seen with all these legislations, again, this is able to address the issue of health financing. Now, the issue that is now going to be a challenge is the third issue, which is governance. Yes, because that is the last pillar of universal health care, the issues of governance.
What does governance entail?
Yeah, how then, we're saying value for money. How then do we ensure that we run some of these institutions that are made, and of course, you and I are Kenyans, as much as I'm Pan-African. Yes. But we have our already existing National Health Insurance Fund. And of course, the information is public there on what goes around there. It goes, and there's the culture that probably is bigger than this discussion, the culture around being able to be prudent with the money, not trying to have those pony things that you try to beat the systems with. Some of these things, I guess, if we are able to address them, we should be able to get more value for money.
I guess we start from the governance issues, and then we head backwards, because governance is actually already pointing us to where we are. Data-driven decision-making, that's what you said. That's what you people do, right?
Yes.
From the data that you plus others have provided the government, that's what you would say, that they have used that information that they have to, first of all, cost the service. Do you know, this is how much it's going to cost for us to offer preventive and promotive health services. This is how much it's going for us to offer curative and palliative and all and this and the other. But then that cost, as they are looking at it, it has elements of inefficiencies. Are we sure that those inefficiencies have been removed or have been factored out of the costs? If now we say that we are raising this amount of money because this is how much we need to fund our health services, are we sure that that's how much we need? Minus all the inefficiencies, minus all the theft, minus all the leakages in the system? Or is it inclusive of all the leakages in the system, and some have even been added so that we can then also finance the future leakages in the system?
So even as you use the data, you really don't factor in issues around inefficiency, because one thing you want to address is the issues of inefficiencies. You don't factor in the issues of rent-seeking behavior, because that is not part of the data cannot tell you about that. That the cost of rent seeking, unless you really want to go out there and do more in terms of trying to understand the cost of rent seeking. Of course, you can get it through many analytical approaches. I could actually estimate that cost of inefficiency. What we could factor in those kinds of determinations is probably transaction costs, the cost of making the transactions. So, trying to answer your question, I'm actually pointing you to the fact that there are things that go beyond data. There are things that now move into the spheres of I don't know whether to call them ethics or
values
and that kind of things, because we are talking of risk pooling. Meaning that as we promote good health practices, we are taking cognizance that if we pool our risks together, there are people who are unlikely to get sick. Some of us don't get sick for a whole year. And there are people who are getting sick almost all the times. The scenario there is those who don't get sick could be able to finance those who do get sick. There are those issues around strategic purchasing, because those are areas of inefficiencies where you look at the current treatments. You go to the hospital and manifest signs of malaria. you come out of the hostel with a mini pharmacy, and you're told, there is this generic drug, and then there's this original drug, and they're both on the shelves, and science say they both treat, but this is so much cost. This is so. Those kind of inefficiencies, could be addressed easily when values are there.
Let's hope they are. Dr. Jackson Otieno, thank you very much for joining us today for sharing the work that you've been doing on this area of health, and it's particularly health financing. He's a senior researcher and policy analyst at the African Institute for Development Policy. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. It's now 8 a.m.
Thank you so much.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission was raised a red flag on land grabbing and use of fake academic papers to gain employment across the country. The Commission chairperson, Bishop David Oginde, stated that the two vices remain a great concern for the anti-graft agency. Oginde says the rate of land grabbing being reported is so high and the Commission has seized up the matter. Without elaborating measures put in place to deter the vice, Oginde said they have put measures into place to ensure that it does not increase in Kisumu. He says they are working closely with the county government of Kisumu to ensure all public land which has been grabbed is reverted through a legal process. 4 Kenyan drivers were allegedly killed on South Sudan under unclear circumstances, according to the Kenya Long Distance Drivers Association. 64 others were detained for demonstrating against the deaths. Wema claimed that the 64 drivers arrested were being mistreated while in custody. He said that those killed are members of the Long Distance Truck Drivers Association from Mombasa, Nairobi, Nakuru and Eldoret. And the manager of Embassy Club along Thika Road in Nairobi was arrested alongside 6 partygoers during a crackdown on shisha vending and smoking in the city. The National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug and Alcohol Abuse said 23 shisha bongs and 40 tobacco flavors were confiscated from the club during the raid. Smoking of shisha has been outlawed in Kenya since 2017 after the state banned the use, import, manufacture, distribution and promotion of the tobacco product. NACAD intensified its crackdown on the product in December 2023 and has since arrested over 60 people in separate club raids in Nairobi and Mombasa. And the European Council has adopted sanctions against 6 entities involved in the war in Sudan, where the regular army and the paramilitary rapid support forces have been fighting since April last year. The council said in a statement the 6 entities were responsible for supporting activities undermining the stability and political transition of Sudan. Among those listed are 2 companies involved in the manufacture of weapons and vehicles of the SAF Defense Industry Systems and SMT Engineering, the SAF controlled Ednah International Company for Investment Limited, and 3 companies involved in procuring military equipment for the RSF, Al Junaid Multi Activities Co Limited, Tradiv General Trading and GSK Advance Company Limited. And the US and the UK have conducted a fresh series of joint airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen. The Pentagon said the strikes hit 8 targets, including an underground storage site in Houthi missile and surveillance capability. The Iran-backed Houthis have been targeting ships they say are linked to Israel and the West that travel through the important Red Sea trade route. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, it's a few minutes after 8 o'clock. Still traffic on the Thika Superhighway coming in from Garden City. That has been heavy all morning. And then crossing over the Outer Ring Junction, Kiambu Road also packed up. So this is the whole western side of the city coming in from Westlands, Wayaki Way, around Chiromo, coming in from Limuru Road. And then far back as Ruaka coming in through towards Spring Valley on this side and Limuru Road to Muthaiga on the other side. So that's all pretty busy. It's also the same packing up some traffic hold up on Langata Road, some of it going towards Raila Odinga Way. Let's look on the eastern side where the eastern bypass also has some traffic this morning heading out towards Embakasi, and it's heavy then touching on Outer Ring. We are in traffic hour. Let's see what happens in a short while. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Indeed. 7 minutes after 8. Welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. Have you downloaded Maramoja Taxi app? If you haven't, please do so. It's available in Nairobi, in Mombasa, in Kisumu, in Eldoret, in Nakuru, in Naivasha. Maramoja Taxi is good. It's Kenyan. When you go online, City, what do you look for?
Maramoja Transport Company.
And then
you look for a blue app.
Blue app.
Yes.
That blue icon.
Yeah, and your
click it. Download it. After
downloading it, just follow instructions. Write your name, phone number, email address. Voila.
Yes.
You're registered.
Bas.
And then you can proceed.
Like that. Like that. Like that.
Like that.
Sindio?
Like that.
Like that. It's important, isn't it?
It's absolutely important.
Very good. Maramoja, please download it today. Also, we've been talking about, celebrating what we call Africa's richness, right? Mm-hmm. You're born in Africa, you're born rich. Because of?
The earth.
The earth. What is available in Africa and what therefore is available to you, including the natural resource called water. People just make assumptions that, water is water. No. African water is not like any other water. And particularly if that water has come out from the ground, been sifted through the rocks, sipped in the minerals, and then tapped at source. And it's called Keringet. Kuisha your story.
You need to consider that your body as a human being, 60-70% of it is water. And every part of your body needs water to function properly.
So wewe ni kichwa maji.
Wewe ni maji. Nyinyi wote ni maji. So, apart from just rehydrating, what you're doing is you're adding life to the life you already have.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Our next guest is the former president of the Law Society of Kenya, the 49th president of the Law Society of Kenya. He is now chairman of the Retirement Benefits Authority. The retired president, Nelson Harvey. Good morning.
Good morning, Martin.
How is life in retirement? Paka, you even chairing Retirement Benefits Authority.
It is fantastic. It's awesome.
What does that mean?
It means it's good.
Uh-huh.
Well, the retirement you're talking about is not my retirement because I've never retired. I still have sufficient energy to work. But I'm chairing the Retirement Benefits Authority. It's a state corporation that takes care of the interest of us when we eventually are not able to work and want a comfortable life that is conducive and commensurate to one's status as it when you're working.
It's the regulator for pensions.
It is the regulator for pensions, aptly put.
Very good. Now, there's a lot that's happening. We are not going to talk about pensions today. We'll talk about law, and the justice sector, and what we've been seeing recently. Yesterday, the President, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Chief Justice had a meeting. And out of it, they released a statement and said among the things that they've agreed, which is going to support the judiciary in various things. We do not see any support that the executive will get from the judiciary or the legislature will get from the judiciary or from the executive. We just saw the support that the judiciary will receive from these other two institutions, budgets, particularly in budgets, and therefore helping them with that. Before that, the Law Society of Kenya, which you have headed previously, has been up in arms and saying, no. The Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court should not be meeting with the President of the Republic. No, this is not a good thing. That's what we're going to discuss. Police plus other things that have been happening in the court. But to welcome you to the conversation, Buona City has the day's proverb. It's from the Kingdom of Morocco.
Yes, it is. Little and lasting is better than much and passing.
Little and lasting is better than much and passing. Nelson, what's your interpretation of it?
I think it's aptly put. You better consume it in little portions.
Okay.
Uma kidogo. Why?
Sababu ukiuma nyingi unaweza bebwa na maji.
Unaweza teuka.
Utaporomoka. Measured everything. Okay. So let's get into it. We are seeing this. Raila says judiciary could be compromised after the president's state house talks with the CJ. Be courageous like Mutunga and Maraga, Orengo tells Koome after meeting Ruto. Independence questioned after Ruto Koome meet on corruption. The president of the Law Society says when the country has been tested, people have been reluctant to go to court because they feel even if they go, they'll not get justice. Senior counsel Dr. John Haminwa, the Chief Justice, and the president are not supposed to meet to discuss how things should be done. Lawyer Bobby Mkangi, who wrote the Constitution, in the dispensation of justice, you not only need to do justice, but justice must be seen to be done. Let's add Nelson Harvey's quote. Go.
The background of this meeting is quite important. Who called for the meeting? It is the Chief Justice who called for the meeting. A fundamental mistake. Do we apportion blame on the part of the president? No. The president is an elected leader. It is his responsibility to be in charge of the nation. He's the head of state and he's the head of government. But as the head of the judiciary, it is imperative upon the Chief Justice to realize what are the parameters upon which she may engage with the other heads of the arms of government. But fundamentally, the outcome of this meeting speaks a lot. What the Chief Justice was asked to address was the wanton corruption in the judiciary. What did she go home with? She went home with her begging bowl full. 25 judges of the High Court, 11 judges of the Court of Appeal, and car loans. To what extent are these three issues going to help us fight corruption? Appropriately so, you said, the executive came out of this meeting with nothing. But that does not mean that we end there. It is incumbent upon the people of Kenya to ensure that there is accountability and independence of the judiciary. There can never be independence without accountability. So first and foremost, the Chief Justice must address the issue of corruption. Not because it was raised by the President, but because it is a big problem that has hindered the administration of justice in this country.
Does going to meet the President indicate in any way that the Chief Justice is not going to deal with corruption or is unwilling to deal with corruption?
No, it is an indicator that she understands that there is a problem. But it doesn't show us how she wants to address the problem. If she was keen on addressing the problem, she would have given us a roadmap, even without the call by the President, even without the demands by some of us in the legal fraternity. There are some of us who have taken to the streets protesting, saying that the independence of the judiciary is being interfered with. No, the independence of the judiciary is not interfered with. We have so far done so much to protect the independence of the judiciary. But what we want now is accountability. And it should not be that she's always woken up into action by third parties. It is incumbent upon her to ensure there is continuous progress in ensuring that every Kenyan has access to justice. Not justice that is available to the highest bidder, not justice that is encumbered by incompetence, delays in the delivery of judgments, days for hearing that are given 6 months, 2 years away from now. Those are hallmarks of incompetence and corruption. And these are issues that must be addressed by the Chief Justice.
So they needed to be addressed anyway.
Absolutely.
And there's work that needs to be done towards ridding the judiciary of corruption, and it's not going to be done in a day. But now with all of these things that are happening almost simultaneously, with the first call out from the President, the previous calling out of corruption in the or rather calling out of the judiciary on matters corruption, is justice on trial today in Kenya?
Yes, justice is on trial in Kenya today, and not at the behest of the big man, not at the lamentation of the small man, but on the complaint of everybody. And I must say this, and I'll keep on repeating. The main problem is twofold. One, there is corruption, a situation whereby we have judicial officers who take money to tilt the wheels of justice in favor of a party. And then the second aspect of it is incompetence, which may amount to gross misconduct. We have cases where you have judicial officers who do not render justice in good time, who do not give considered decisions, who do not give reasons as to why they have arrived at their decisions. And this has to be looked at it from that perspective. I have on numerous occasions suggested that we must have a permanent approach to scrutinizing how judicial officers work, with the vetting of judges and magistrates board. I do not know why our friends in the executive and the legislature do not want to take up this role now. We need the vetting of judges and magistrates to be taken at an interval. Some have suggested 5 years, some have suggested 10 years. I think 10 years would be an appropriate time. And I say so, bearing in mind that a judge serves for a period of 70 years. The judges who were recruited last year and the year before, some as young as 40, some as young as 38. We're going to have these people in office for almost 30 years, 40 years. How do we ensure that they are accountable? And if they are not accountable at intervals, then the problem that we've complained about is bound to persist longer than necessary.
But Nelson, they are constantly accountable in the fact that at any time, any person can raise an issue against a specific judicial officer, a judge, at any time. If you feel that a judge is corrupt today, you can take up that matter to the Judicial Service Commission and an investigation should commence immediately. If somebody else feels that the same judge is corrupt tomorrow, they can do the same. So throughout the tenure of a judge, they are accountable. Is that not so? Do we have to have a vetting? What does that vetting do that's different?
Look at the composition of the Judicial Service Commission as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous progress was made upon the promulgation of the Constitution, with the effect that the appointees then of the Judicial Service Commission of the President are not the case. The Judicial Service Commission is
They're a minority.
It's representative. It's representative of the legal fraternity. It is representative of the executive. It is a representative of the public.
Yep.
But look at the Judicial Service Commission as it is right now. Are you confident that you can take your complaint to a Judicial Service Commission headed by the Chief Justice against a judge of the Supreme Court, against a judge of the High Court, against a judge of the Court of Appeal? There may be, and I speak this with a lot of information, there may be a lot of vested interests. That is the reason as to why we say the Judicial Service Commission as currently constituted is not competent enough. It does not have the capacity, the wherewithal of ridding this country of corruption.
Maybe just inform the public what the constitution of the Judicial Service Commission.
The Judicial Service Commission is comprised of, first, the Chief Justice.
Right.
A judge of the Supreme Court.
Yep.
A judge of the Court of Appeal. And these two judges of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, together with the judge of the High Court, are all elected. The Judicial Service Commission also has two representatives from the Law Society of Kenya.
Right.
One male and one female.
Right.
There is the Attorney General.
Right.
There are two members appointed by, actually 3 members appointed by the President.
Right.
To represent the public. So, picking from that point, let me go back to the issue that I was addressing. The necessity to have a continuous vetting of judges and magistrates at intervals must exist parallel to the Judicial Service Commission. And I've said the reason as why it is proper to have this parallel mechanism is there are vested interests in the Judicial Service Commission that may require outside intervention and input for us to make progress. And look at the last 5 years. How many complaints against judges and magistrates have been submitted to the Judicial Service Commission and resulted in a recommendation for the formation of a tribunal? Very few.
Are we then imputing some nefarious activities? Because if indeed there were few, are we saying that the decision that was arrived at was wrong or was erroneous?
Which decision, Elder?
The decision not to have a tribunal, because I take the view that by the time an accusation or an issue reaches the Judicial Service Commission, whoever is taking it there has given it thought and they have evidence that they're going to provide before that particular group of individuals.
Okay.
Now, what I want to understand, Nelson, is what is it that makes them incompetent? What is it that makes them unable to fulfill the mandate that I think as a layperson, they ought to fulfill?
Now, I do not want to state that the decisions not to form tribunals when petitions are submitted to the Judicial Service Commission are erroneous. But it's a daunting, arduous task for you to remove a judge through the Judicial Service Commission. As I sit here, I have successfully removed a judge from office through the Judicial Service Commission at a very high cost.
What cost?
A very high cost.
To yourself?
To myself. I was vilified. I was profiled. For about 5 years, I was not able to make progress before the High Court and the Court of Appeal. You will be targeted. You'll be identified. And look, if a distinguished advocate like Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi Senior Counsel can be isolated, identified for an unlawful and constitutional punishment by the Chief Justice, What about those other mere mortals, John, Omondi, and Nyeri, who are just about 2 years or 1 year in practice? I removed a judge at a high cost. That is the more reason as why we need a parallel environment where the public can bring complaints to be reviewed, to be analyzed, and the threshold is not the one that has currently been set by the Chief Justice, where often when you raise a complaint, you are told, no, the complaint borders on the decisional independence of a particular judge. The judge has made a decision. We cannot remove the judge because of that decision, because she or he is permitted to make a mistake within the confine of her decision making. But that is wrong. We've had judges removed because of the decisions they made. Take, for instance, Justice Murugi Mugo, who refused to give an advocate audience that was Zebedi Ongoya, and went further and decided to detain that advocate. She was removed from office for only that reason. One, she failed to give an advocate audience when the advocate appeared before her. And two, she decided to take the law onto her own hands by jailing the advocate who was before her representing a client's interest. And that is the reason why we need the vetting of judges and magistrates, not an institution that has a lot of vested interests in the name of the Judicial Service Commission, that is hell-bent in protecting
their own. So out of the 13 members of the JSC, 7 are judges.
Yes.
Okay. And then we have 3 lawyers. That includes 2 LSK plus the Attorney General.
And the Attorney General.
And the members of the public who may or may not be lawyers.
Yes.
Those 3. So you're saying that these 7 judges will more likely be acting in defense of their own.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's what you're saying?
Yes.
And so
there's nothing wrong about
that.
So
we should make them not a majority in the JSC, but make them a minority in the JSC.
No.
Does that help?
The JSC, as currently constituted, is based upon what the Constitution has directed.
And is that what you're raising an issue with?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
There is propriety in having a majority of lawyers and judges in the Judicial Service Commission, because they are better placed to understand the problems that bedevil the legal fraternity. But often, time and history may give individuals who hold office who do not know what their work is. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, at one point in time, we had 2 representatives in the Judicial Service Commission from the legal fraternity. The male representatives that I'm talking about, Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi and Professor Tom of Gender. These were individuals of gravitas. In fact, often you will think they were the chairs of this Judicial Service Commission. And they were impactful. And for good reason. Because they were there to protect the interests of both the judicial officers and of advocates. But history has the unfortunate outcome of giving you representatives who may not have that gravitas. I don't know whether you know the current male representatives of the male representative of the Law Society to the Judicial Service Commission.
He's the vice chair.
Do you know him?
We met the vice chair.
What is the name of the vice chair?
Masharia.
Masharia. Okay, fine. And as we go for this election of the male representative to the Judicial Service Commission.
Why were you asking that? You didn't know him?
Well, I wanted to know.
Like he's unknown. You feel as though he's unknown.
Do you feel him the same way you felt Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi or Tom Ogenda?
Actually,
we felt Ahmed Nasir because that's the time when judges are being interviewed for jobs.
Yes.
Beyond that,
well, during Ahmed Nasir's tenure, I believe there may have been about 2 or 3 recruitments. During Masharia and Njeri's tenure, there have been about 4 recruitments. So the reason as to why you felt the impact of Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi is this. He came in at a point in time where the Constitution had just been promulgated.
Yep.
We had the vetting of judges and magistrates.
Yep.
And we had several judges of the Court of Appeal being sent home because there was a concerted effort by the Law Society of Kenya to submit complaints before the board. And then at the same time, as the recruitment of judges started then, lawyers also submitted their views, appraisals, and complaints. And it's on the basis of that that you're able to see the impact of representation of the Law Society in the Judicial Service Commission. So going forward, it is imperative on the part of the lawyers to ensure that they have a representative who understands what his role is in the Judicial Service Commission. Somebody who will be able to call out corruption in the judiciary. Somebody who will be able to ensure that many of the appointees who end up being judges and magistrates are from the legal fraternity, practitioners, people who have gone to court, people who have an understanding of the court processes.
Nelson, I'm not sure I understand your line of argument here. You started by saying that the composition of the Judicial Service Commission hinders the proper vetting or removal of judges who are found to be corrupt, who are thought to be corrupt or felt to be corrupt by the public.
Yes.
So we asked about the composition, and we talked about the imbalance between judges and non-judges in the panel. And I asked you, so do you want to shift that balance? And you said, no, you don't have a problem with it. So what exactly is your issue? Are you saying that complaints against judges should not be taken to the Judicial Service Commission, should go to a different entity?
No, Latiff, and let me make this clear for the benefit of those who are listening and watching. We have a Judicial Service Commission. Its composition is provided for by the Constitution. But often we'll end up having individuals in that commission, either as an outcome of an election or an appointment, who do not understand their work.
Yes.
We had a Chief Justice by the name Dr. William Mutunga. He understood his work. When you took a complaint to the Judicial Service Commission, it will be processed speedily and a judge will be asked to account. We had an individual who held the office of the chair of the Judicial Service Commission by the name David Kenani Maraga. He understood his work. We had a male representative to the Judicial Service Commission by the name Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, by the name Tom Ojenda. We had a representative by the name Dr. Marcy Ndeche, who understood her work. So because we will have the unfortunate outcome of an election or appointment that will lead us to a perilous path as we are right now, it is imperative we have a parallel process. And it's not something that is coming out of the emptiness of imagination. It's been there before. We had it when we promulgated the Constitution. We had the Judicial Service Commission and we had the vetting of judges and magistrates. And it's only through that process that will ensure we're able to contain. We will never be able to eradicate corruption and incompetence. You understand? But we must contain it to an extent where justice will be delivered to our expectation.
Let's take a break. We'll continue the conversation shortly. Nelson Harvey was the 49th president of the Law Society of Kenya. He's now the chairman of the Retirement Benefits Authority. He's still a legal practitioner. He's here. We are talking about issues in the judiciary, allegations of corruption and handling of that, and the Judicial Service Commission as he's raising it. We'll continue that conversation shortly. Please tell him about, he's the man who knows how look is look.
Indeed.
Huh?
You know how to step
look
up and
begins
shine.
from the shoe.
Exactly, I can see. We know how you know how to step up and shine, and that's what Kiwi has been doing for years, isn't it? So here's an opportunity to actually use the aspect where you step up and shine to maybe help somebody else, right? So, supermarket. How often do you step into a supermarket, Nelson?
I was in the supermarket yesterday at Carrefour, the junction.
Okay. So maybe if I had to share this, and so now the next time you go, you can hopefully do it before Friday, pick up a tin of kiwi, the one with the new logo.
This one?
This one with the new logo, right? That's the one I want you to look for. And then there's a starburst, and there's a number, *459 *5#. You're going to dial that number once you've picked up your tin, and you'll pop the lid. Under the tin is a code. You put that in when you dial this number, and you win airtime or data instantly. The beauty of this is that you get entered into a draw, and every week 4 people are winning 35,000 shillings. But this 35,000 shillings goes directly to school fees at any level. So even if you don't have a school-going child who's in need of fees, there's somebody somewhere who does, and you can actually have that sent to somebody else. So Kiwi's saying, pick up a tin of this, get into the draw, somebody will win school fees for this term.
Indeed. A good initiative.
Absolutely.
I'll verily do that.
Very
it's
good.
important that those who come after us go to school.
Absolutely.
And go to good schools and learn to be good citizens.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Some very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel young again and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
And we're looking at sunny conditions at 16 in Nakuru. It's sunny at 17 in Nyeri, and sunny at 18 in Eldoret. We're looking at the sun up in Mombasa as well at 28, and Malindi at 28. Kisumu sunny at 22, and with sunny conditions with temperatures rising to now 18 in Kakamega. And we'll see highs of 28 in a cloudy after the rain Kampala. It's cloudy at 28 in Dar es Salaam, while Johannesburg is partly sunny at 16. We'll see sunny conditions at 28 in Mogadishu and sunny at 14 in Addis Ababa. Lagos is partly cloudy at 26 and Kinshasa cloudy at 24.
Chilled Spice.
It's a busy morning on the Eastern Bypass. Now there's this heavy traffic that's coming in towards the city and then touching on Outer Ring. And then there's outbound traffic on North Airport Road heading through towards Embakasi. That's pretty busy right now. We're also seeing heavy traffic on Jogo Road, inching closer to Landis. We're going then towards the Kamkunji roundabout. You'll find some traffic. It's busy on Raila Odinga Way. It's very busy coming off of Magadi Road towards Langata Road, and it's inching along as you get to the crossover at Uhuru Gardens. Ngong Road is also busy with traffic this morning. Uhuru Highway heading out into the CBD. Incoming traffic from the Thika Superhighway, as well as Kiambu Road, Limuru Road. Everywhere you look this morning has an inch or more of traffic. So keep an eye on those. We are in the middle of traffic hour. Let's see what happens as we get closer to the end. SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Nelson Harvey talking about corruption in the judiciary. Yesterday, the President, the Chief Justice, the Speaker of the National Assembly had a meeting, the outcome of which has been widely publicized. Well, many things that the Chief Justice went and presented there from what we see and what she came out of there with. First of all, commitment to increase funding for the judiciary so that we can hire more judges. Commitment to supporting the judiciary in its transport needs, and that is completion of the leasing agreements. But you're saying that she has not addressed the issues of corruption in the judiciary, and you feel that the judiciary needs to do more within itself to rid itself of corruption. You sat in the National Council on Administration of Justice, NCAJ, right? Representing
yes, I did.
The Law Society of Kenya. This is the council that brings in all the stakeholders in the justice system. The Law Society, the judiciary itself, it brings in the court users, it brings in the civil society, brings in the executive, the police, the prosecutor, the DPP is there, and others. And the Attorney General, of course, is represented. This is one of the avenues that you had to say, you know what, we need to rid this institution of allegations of corruption, of the perception of corruption. And one of the things that we can do is go this route of maybe institute another radical surgery of the judiciary. Maybe every 5 years we have it, call it a vetting board, whatever you want to call it. Did you do that?
Eric,
are there records of the NCAJ that would show that this is what the Law Society then proposed?
Eric, I'm battle hardened. I'm a war hero.
Mm-hmm.
I've told you I sent a judge home at a very high cost. You see the wounds of this battle. When I served as president of the Law Society of Kenya, I was very pivotal. I was very vocal. When Uhuru Kenyatta refused to swear in judges, I didn't call for a protest. I didn't go begging anybody. I took the rightful action. I initiated the removal of the Attorney General and the Solicitor General. At one point in time, Uhuru Kenyatta kept on lamenting everywhere, like a headless chicken, that he cannot do his work because of what we're doing. When there was need for us to ensure that there was compliance with the 2/3 gender rule, we didn't go protesting. We petitioned the Chief Justice to advise the dissolution of Parliament. When there was an attempt to close down the courts because of the COVID pandemic, we called for a meeting and put up what we have right now as the online filing and hearing system. And if there is anybody who did not see what we did when we served, who did not see what transpired when we served, then that problem is one of a hearing problem and a seeing problem. Now that I'm not on trial right now, it is incumbent upon the people who are in office to work. And who are the people in office right now? The person in charge of the judiciary is the Chief Justice. Compare her to what her predecessors did. And Latiff will emphasize this until it is heard, because there are many in the office. There are many who are charged with the responsibility of decision making, who have a hearing and seeing problem. You cannot fight corruption by increasing the number of corruption by 25 in the High Court. You cannot fight corruption by increasing the number of corruption in the Court of Appeal by 11. You cannot fight corruption by giving those we accuse of corruption vehicles to move from point A to B. It is as simple as that.
But I'm also hearing you say you cannot fight corruption by taking the route that Nelson Harvey took, which is take a petition, let a due process be followed.
No, I didn't say that. That is the route that must be followed. But Nelson Harvey is not going to pursue that route because I'm now an old man. I fought these wars. Those who have come before me must take the rifle, must take the pistol and go to war. All generals like Nelson Harvey will not go to war.
But you say that is
but
the route
will advise the soldiers who are in combat right now to go to war, and will give them manuscript on how we went to war.
But you say that is the route to follow.
Absolutely.
Then why are you faulting the Judicial Service Commission?
Latiff, listen.
Why are you faulting the Chief Justice? If that is the route to follow, it is being followed.
Yes.
The Judicial Service Commission came out last week with a statement and said, we have actually, through this route, received this number of applications. We have processed them. This number of processed applications have gone through. A judge has been removed from office. Why are you faulting that?
We're faulting it because it is not sufficient. It's not satisfactory. And it must be done. And
satisfactory to whom?
To us. We are the consumers of justice. We go to court on your behalf. We do not go to court on our own. We represent the interests of clients, the general public. And when we speak, and I'm afraid, though not so much afraid, that a communique may be issued from the office of the Chief Justice this evening, barring me from appearing before the Supreme Court, because we're speaking about these matters. And we must be allowed to speak about these matters. And it doesn't matter how much vehemence there shall be from the office of the Chief Justice. We, as the people, we, as the advocates who are keen on ensuring that we have independence and accountability from the judiciary, will speak.
You know, Nelson.
And when they make this unlawful, erroneous, unconstitutional decisions like the one she made the other day, we will fight.
Okay.
Because it's not the first time she's doing this. I told you of a previous attempt by 7 judges of the Court of Appeal to muzzle then prominent journalist Tony Gashoka from speaking about corruption in the Golden Bank then. And we saw how it went. We saw how Justice Murugi Mugo attempted to stop an advocate from speaking the truth. And we saw how it went. And if they don't see this, and let me tell you this, I have considerable doubt on whether this so-called order of the Supreme Court was made by the 7 judges. I believe it was not made by the 7 judges. It's most likely have been made by the Chief Justice and a direction given to the registrar of the Supreme Court to communicate it. Where is the decision signed by the 7 judges? So this impunity that we are experiencing now, the dictatorship of an individual in the judiciary, must never be allowed.
Remember, there's due process.
Yes, there's
Here,
due
it's
process.
not the office of the Chief Justice that you have an issue with. It's the person.
But Eric,
the current occupant.
Eric,
there's
if
due process. Can you file an appeal to remove the Chief Justice?
Eric, if you listen to this process, I mean, what Nelson Harvey has a right to say what he is saying.
Yes.
Yes.
He has a right to share his opinion publicly. But don't you get the impression that within the legal fraternity, I'm talking about the entire judicial system plus
advocates,
human rights defenders like Nelson Harvey here and others, that there is a clear division. There are those who support a certain way of doing things and there are those who don't. There are those who believe things should work in a certain way and there are those who think otherwise. And we are seeing this conflict now. Because, yes, I expect that judges would collate together and protect each other. People do that. If you attack a journalist, woe betide you. We will think about whether that person is in the wrong later.
Mm-hmm. But lawyers do that. Case in point today.
Precisely. You've understood exactly where I'm going with this. And I'm simply saying this. The Chief Justice, how long has she been on this job?
Almost 2 years.
2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. Remember, Mutunga, who is heralded as a wonderful Chief Justice, also presided over an election, and that didn't go very well for him. Our elections have this tendency of doing damage to people who are office holders in the Supreme Court. It takes you time to recover from it. But is this not then, in my opinion, the test of our system? Meaning, you can actually see the wheels of justice turning. Nelson Harvey can come here and say the things he's saying. And we can actually see visibly in 3D the rebuttal and the fight that he receives. And indeed, we also see how it is that when a judge seems to have been taken to that very, very, very precinct of where it is that they are judged, you get the impression that every effort is made to ensure that they stay. And yet, unless there's something overwhelming or somebody has evidence that you cannot run away from, that we have issues and that we're talking about them is the best thing that could happen to the judicial system. That there are issues that we can point fingers at and say this isn't right and this ought to be checked and this ought to be changed. That is a good thing for our country. If we were not having this discussion, then I would say a terrible thing is happening. But Nelson, tell me one thing. This is the thing I always find puzzling.
Yes.
Whenever people talk about corruption in the judiciary, I don't see anybody bringing the evidence. The only person who has been accused of corruption is the immediate former judge of the High Court, one Mr. Chitembwe. That's the guy who went through this process and was determined this guy should perhaps go and do other things. But beyond that, the noise about corruption is huge. It can't be represented with the removal of just one judge. What about the others? Because it can't be this one person was the only person who was corrupt. Corruption in the judiciary means there are many of them.
Okay.
Why don't we hear these cases being taken forward?
Okay, fine. Let me answer your question sequentially. Self-preservation of professionals. You've alluded to the fact that judges will come and protect themselves.
Oh, they will.
Lawyers will come and protect themselves.
Oh, they will.
Let me debunk you of this false construct first. We have the Advocates Disciplinary Tribunal. Go there. Every week when that tribunal sits, it takes disciplinary action against advocates. And we're very affirmative. We will strike you off the roll. We will suspend you. We'll issue a fine. And the records are there. So the self-preservation in the legal fraternity...
Can I ask a question just there? What percentage of complaints that you receive at the LSK ends up with disciplinary action? Striking off the roll of advocates?
Many.
What percent? Many. 90%? 100%?
I don't have the statistics.
60%?
I don't have the statistics.
So your
right
own estimation,
now.
is it more than 50% of our complaints?
No, I'm a mathematician. I don't give figures that I don't have.
Mathematics
but
also allows for approximation.
Well, we'll put it at about 20%.
Okay.
Yeah, 20%.
So 80% are not removed from office.
80%
are not sanctioned.
And remember, it depends with what the request is for disciplinary action. There are certain conduct that may require striking off the roll. There's certain conduct that will require suspension. There's certain conduct that will require the imposition of a fine. And all these are taken. But if you look at the general statistics, it's only about 20% that will be liable to striking off the roll.
Okay.
But let's progress this discussion. Elder, the reason as why you're not seeing the evidence of these allegations or of corruption is because that evidence is concealed. Complaints are forwarded to the Judicial Service Commission, and you cannot be able to see progress unless and until the Judicial Service Commission takes action. And the answer has often been this: we will not interfere with the decisional independence of a judge. You understand? A judge will make a decision barring an advocate from appearing before a court without any legal foundation, without any case before that judge, without hearing that judge. And then when we take this complaint to the Judicial Service Commission, we'll be told that is decisional independence of the judge. Therein lies the problem. It is concealed. It will never be seen. And moving forward, there must be publicity. Publicity is the hallmark of fidelity. Let advocates speak. And if a judge feels aggrieved because of the pronouncement of an advocate which borders on defamation, let them go to court and sue for libel or slander. And we've seen this before. Richard Kloba attempted suing Ocheng Oduol with catastrophic results because the evidence of that came forth was overwhelming. And I can tell you, as day succeeds night, if any of these judges decide to sue Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi for defamation, the evidence that will be placed before the court will even scare a dog.
I want to ask you, because there's certain things you talked about the capabilities and competencies of previous individuals who sat in the position of Chief Justice, who sat in positions of the Judicial Service Commission, and what they could or could not do, people who understood their work. Yes. Can you divide the position of Chief Justice or separate the position of Chief Justice from the individual who sits in that position? Because it sounds as though what you've been saying is that there's a competency question or there's a comprehension issue about what this person in this position ought to be doing, and that if they understood it, a visit like what we saw yesterday would not have taken place, number one. Number two, we would have been seeing robust action when it came to fighting some of these matters that we speak of. So are you speaking to the competency and the comprehension of this individual, or do you just not like them?
No, history will give you Neville Chamberlain as a prime minister who will find it appropriate to go and have an appeasement policy instead of taking decisive action. The same history will give you Sir Winston Churchill, who will adopt a different approach of handling this matter. So the seat will always be there. But often the person who occupies the seat will give it gravitas. I don't have a problem with that. You see, if we didn't have fools, we wouldn't be able to identify who a wise man is. That is the unfortunate nature of history. We'll always have this balance. But because we live in a democratic space, the people must always be alert to the extent that irrespective of who the person is in that office, the dignity of that office, the power of that office is never belittled. It is the office.
What would have happened that would then have convinced anybody who has a divergent opinion that then the Chief Justice was doing what she ought to do yesterday? She did not accept the visit, which you, or rather suggest the visit, which you said was a terrible mistake. What should have or would have happened that would have convinced anybody of a differing opinion that she actually was taking these matters seriously? When you say those three words, corruption in 4 words in the judiciary, that is a serious thing. What would have convinced anybody that she was taking it seriously if the visit showed that she was not?
2 things. First, she doesn't need to be prompted to act. She needs to act as a matter of course. So the mere fact that there's been prompting in 2 aspects. One was the justified lamentation by the president, and 2, the complaint by many of us in the legal fraternity, highlighted by Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, that corruption must be dealt with. So starting from that premise, that was wrong. And the knee-jerk reaction does not yield any visible results. Why can't you take seriously the complaints that are before the Judicial Service Commission instead of instilling fear amongst those who are vested with the responsibility of forwarding complaints to you? Look at it this way. You've barred an advocate from appearing before the Supreme Court because he's talked about corruption. An advocate, not just any other advocate. You understand? This is not just any other advocate. He's been president of the Law Society. He's been a representative of the Law Society of the Judicial Service Commission. He's somebody who knows what he's talking about. You've barred him from speaking. Who else will speak? Therein lies the problem. And the timing here is horrible. It's horrible. There is no defense to the action by the Chief
Horrible
Justice.
for whom, Harvey?
It's horrible for you and I, for the people of Kenya.
Why?
Because you, Elder Muga, if you dare make a complaint against a judge, a magistrate, what will happen to you? They're most likely to jail you.
They're most likely to bar me from appearing before the Supreme Court.
No, you don't appear there, so they'll just jail you. Yeah.
My point exactly. You see, please explain to me. You had a problem with a judge. You took legal steps. The president talks about corruption. He, more than anybody else, must have evidence. Why don't we see these matters going before court? Or are we saying...
Why isn't he taking them?
Yes. And why isn't Ahmed Nasir doing the same thing? I mean, unless you're saying that these judges are so corrupt that if we take these cases to court, nothing will happen. Is that what we're saying?
That's exactly what we are saying. We are saying we don't have faith in the Judicial Service Commission to entertain this matter. And we speak from a point of information.
Nelson.
They have not done it in the manner they are required to do it.
Nelson.
And
the Judicial Service Commission says 72 complaints were filed before it in 2023. In the 12 months of 2023. 49 are still undergoing evaluation. 23, therefore, they've finished evaluation. 13 were dismissed. 6 of those judges have been asked to respond. 4 have been committed to hearing. Of the 4, 3 judges opted to leave the service, Judiciary. 1 went through tribunal, 1 left office. What more would you have done?
Much more. Much more.
By committing all of them?
No, not like committing all of them.
Out of the 23 completed cases, 6 have been asked to respond. That's close to 25%.
That's clearly more than what the law societies, disciplinary committee have been able to actually deal with effectively.
Anyway, Nelson, we are coming to the end of the hour. Please respond in 30 seconds.
We want action. We want to rid the judiciary of corruption and incompetence. And corruption does not necessarily entails the receiving of money. Corruption also is involved when a judicial officer is supposed to be at work and he or she is not at work. When a judicial officer is giving you debts 6 or 12 months away from now. When a judicial officer is not giving you a fair hearing. When a judicial officer is giving you a decision that's not reasoned. That is corruption, that is incompetence. The Chief Justice must listen to the calls of the consumers of justice and ensure that this goal is attained. With that, we'll be able to have a good judiciary. Thank you so much.
Nelson Harvey, 49th President of the Law Society of Kenya, has been our guest. 9 a.m. News.
The news at the top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Mumias East MP Peter Selassie is expected to appear before the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in Nairobi today. The legislator is expected to appear at EACC's offices at the Integrity Center for an interview and statement recording. In a letter dated January 16th, EACC CEO Twalibu Mbarak notified him that there would be 2 officers available to receive and record the said statement. The summons is meant to address the allegations that the MP assaulted an MCA during a funeral on January 12th, 2024. The CEO noted that the allegations constitute serious ethical issues, saying if the same are true, they would amount to a serious breach of the integrity and ethical requirements governing the conduct of the state officers. The Public Service Commission has announced 684 vaccines across various ministries and state departments. A notice by the PSC published made that qualified and interested Kenyans have until February 13th to submit the applications. The details of the jobs can be found on PSC's website. The State Department for Internal Security and National Administration is seeking to recruit at least 22 county commissioner secretaries, administration and a deputy director, Kenya School of Adventure and Leadership. The Union of Healthcare Workers in Homa Bay County has suspended a strike which was to kick off Monday after reaching a consensus with the county government of Homa Bay. The union, comprising Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentist Union, Kenya National Union of Nurses, Clinical Officers and Laboratory Technicians, among others, planned to go on a strike from Monday over salary payment delay, promotions and reinstatement of their colleagues whose names were scrapped off from the payroll without explanations. However, the union officials Monday suspended the strike and called on their members to go on with their duties after meeting the county top leadership officials from the Department of Health. And a family in Arama area in Baringo County has appealed to the government to help them find their kin, Peter Kimngetich Songol, who disappeared under mysterious circumstances in November 2023. According to the family, Songol went missing in the company of his lover, who he had been living with. Led by his elder sister, Betty Jemutai, the family said that they have had an intensive search, including hiring divers to search Arama River, but are yet to find him. They state that 4 suspects who had been arrested by police last year were released in unclear circumstances. Songol's sisters pointed fingers on the lover, accusing her of failing to cooperate with them. And the hearing of Simeon Nyachaya's case, where a woman has contested his will seeking a share of his 2 billion shillings estate, proceeds for hearing today. In the case, a US-based woman sued the Nyachaya family for leaving her out of the inheritance, saying she was a wife and had 3 children with him. The last time the matter was in court, the High Court warned the family of the former cabinet minister Simeon Nyachaya against attempts to delay the matter. Separately, The 1.4 billion shillings graft case against former Kenya Port Authority Managing Director Daniel Manduku proceeds for hearing today. The case, according to the DPP, relates to the procurement of the manufacture of concrete barriers with a contractual sum of over 1.4 billion shillings. The project, they said, was not within the KPA's approved budget for the 2018-2019 financial year and had not been planned for by the Ports Authority. Now, police are investigating an incident in which the body of a clinical officer was discovered in a private hospital in Garissa after he injected himself with a chemical on January 22nd. The motive for the incident at the hospital in Garissa Ndogo is unclear. Managers at the facility informed the police that they found the 30-year-old clinical officer unresponsive in a locked consultation room. These forced the staff present to break the door, where they found the 30-year-old man lying unresponsive on the examination couch. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Okay, so a little bit of traffic still left here and there in the city. Let's take a look at what's coming off of Thika Superhighway. We saw it coming hot through towards Survey. Still continues for a while, bumper to bumper, in from KCA out towards that Morangaru Junction. And we'll see some of it still continuing coming out of Muthaiga. That construction takes place, still continuing. And so that'll hold us up on Limuru Road getting into the city. It's looking a little bit better coming off of Waiakiwe. But then Lower Kabete heading out towards Spring Valley, just at that junction, the traffic still continues. Okay, Wailo Dingowe, there's traffic coming off Langata Road as well as looking through towards the City Mortuary roundabout, and then incoming traffic from Gong Road slows things down just a little bit. It's eased on the Eastern Bypass, so yay for that as you head out on to Outer Ring. Let's take a look in about half hour coming to the end of traffic hour and see what it looks like then, and we'll talk on Spice FM, KE on X.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
6 minutes after 9, we are on to the final hour of the Situation Room this Tuesday. Ndu, please tell us why EcoBank is a Pan-African bank.
A Pan-African bank because it has presence in very many African countries. So imagine you're in Nairobi, but you can transact in Abidjan. You're in Abidjan, but you can transact in Abuja. So looking at the needs of Africans around the continent, but then also getting into the Middle East, into Asia, and into Europe. And then bringing all of that together and putting its support behind the Africa Cup of Nations that's taking place in Côte d'Ivoire. Why? Seamless transactions, no matter where you go to bed or where you wake up across the country, making it a better Africa, making it a better experience, a new Africa, a new dawn with EcoBank.
That they're supporting the Africa Cup of Nations is a big thing because it's important that this Africa Cup of Nations continues to thrive because it's a ground where African footballers come to showcase their talent. And also, many are watching across the continent and saying, yeah, I want to play on that stage.
Many are watching across the globe.
And across the globe are saying we'd like to play against these guys. It's a very, very big and a beautiful thing. City. So as you do all those things and you're playing football and you're doing your walk and Africa is rich, let's celebrate the richness of Africa. It's about water, isn't it?
It is. You know, as I said in the previous hour, the one thing people forget is that 60-70% of their body is actually water. Now, if it is water and you sweat, you really do need to replenish it. Now, replenishing it or losing it simply means this. When you lose water through sweating or other means, you're also losing minerals.
Yes.
When you take in water, when you drink water, that's exactly what you're doing. Now, the thing about Keringet is this. This is not just water. This is mineral water. All the minerals that your body needs and then some will be found in this water. Whether you're talking about magnesium, whether you are talking about calcium, whether you're talking about sodium, you will find it. And that ensures that every part of your body functions as it should.
It is rich.
Indeed. Keringet. All right, our next guest is going to tell us about feeding livestock. Okay? Cows specifically. He's a dairy farming expert and a livestock fodder production expert as well. John Carrier, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Umesikia mambo ya maji.
Maji nimesikia.
And minerals.
Yes.
I am sure when you talk about dairy, those are the things that you also consider. Making sure that your cows have sufficient minerals so then they can give you high yield of milk.
Sure.
That's what we'll be talking about. City has the day's proverb. Every week, City goes to one African country, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and then he brings us one proverb from that one country per day. This week, he's in Morocco. And today's proverb is the Kingdom of Morocco.
Please, Kingdom of Morocco. Okay. Little and lasting is better than much and passing.
Little and lasting is better than much and passing.
Come again.
Little and lasting.
And lasting is better than much and passing.
What do you understand from that proverb?
Morocco. I think it's talking about maybe we cement what we do today so that we can be able, to earn in the future or something like that.
To protect what you have today so it can earn you more in the future.
More in the future. Say maybe like what we are doing today. If you don't take care of your livestock today, when you are doing breeding, and breeding is not a 1 year affair. It means in future you'll not be having the correct breed of livestock. Yes.
Okay. You're a dairy farming expert.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means that we advise farmers in Kenya and other parts of Africa in terms of feeding. When we talk of feeding, we talk of the forage, the correct forage that contain all the minerals that maybe a dairy cow or a beef cow would require without going to the shop and buy. Yeah.
So it comes from the food to what else?
What we are saying, we encourage, or we have done our own research, and we have crops that help farmers produce milk or meat or beef without, incurring a little more cost. Because in beef, the major problem we have in dairy and beef farming in the Republic of Kenya and other African countries is the cost of feeds.
Yes.
It takes about 58%. So what we are doing here is we are encouraging farmers to plant those high quality fodder crops that will make them earn profit and getting quality from their farm. And these crops are perennial. Perennial. So you continue harvesting. You harvest today, for example, if it is Pak Chong 1, for example, you will harvest again after 2 months.
Okay, let's take a step back. So what we're saying essentially is that right now, for raising of cattle, for dairy or for meat, is you have to feed them with meal, right? And that you buy, you purchase this. Feeds, essentially, cattle feeds, and those are expensive. Can you gain the same results, if not better, with now this crop that you're talking about that you can plant alongside your cattle, which they can feed on. So if you did that, would they still need the meal, or would it replace the meal, the feed that you currently are purchasing, and would it be enough to sustain them?
Okay, basically what this crop you're talking about, for example, the super Napier grass. We have others that I'll mention, like the super K vines and the Junkao grass. But the best Napier we are talking about here, or the king of Napier, is Pakchong. It's a whole meal. It has energy that is required by all these animals you are talking about. It has enough, proteins. Protein content of, for example, Pakchong is 16 to 18%. That is very high. We have that crop will have carbohydrates. So it is a whole meal. So what we are simply saying is the cost of commercial feeds is too high today, because mostly comes from the we call them cereals, and the cereals, the cost of cereals today. So what we are saying here is this crop will solve, or it is sorting farmers' problems in terms of feeding. So you get a whole meal from your farm. After you invest the first time, you continue reaping the benefit in future. And
it can grow. You said it's perennial, so it's obviously perennial. Then it can grow. Is it an all-weather crop? Is it all-weather, number one, able to grow in most areas of the country? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, Super Napier Pakchong 1 grows in semi-arid, arid, and wet areas. So it is an all-weather crop, and it does not choose the types of soil. The only problem with it, or the soil that it has problem with, it's sandy soils. And you can always improve sandy soil by inputting farmyard manure. Yes. So basically what we are saying is that the crop of Pakchong 1 is coming to solve the problem of Africans and all people of the world, because it was developed in Thailand by Dr. Kerares Kiathong by mixing two crops, the African elephant Napier grass and palm millet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is from which country again?
Thailand. It was developed in Thailand.
It's from Thailand. It's called Pakchong 1.
In Naito Pakchong.
Super Napier grass Pakchong.
Super Napier grass, Pakchong 1. Why Pakchong 1? Because it was developed in a town in Thailand known as Pakchong.
Okay.
Yes. Then it was tried once and released in 2013. Yes.
So who owns the rights to this?
It's Dr. Kerares Kiathong. But he has allowed people now to multiply and,
so you can propagate your own, and you can grow and... is it just like the normal Dhara that,
Actually, if you look at it, I wish I came with it. I didn't know it's allowed. I could come with it and see. It looks like the Dhara that people know. But it have wider leaves that are smooth. The stems are also not hairless. They are smooth. So that makes it a multi-purpose crop. Multi-purpose in the sense that it is fed by both goats, sheep, cattle.
Okay.
The normal Dhara we know, because of Ruaba, goats don't like it. So
because
this one
is because of
Ruaba. Ruaba is those I don't know how to call it, but stinging hairs or irritating hairs.
You see on the stalk.
Stringy.
On the stalk, there's the offshoots, right? The one that you touch and they're stinging.
Yeah.
They're prickly.
Yeah, those ones.
So the cows don't like that.
The goats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goats don't like Ruaba. Goats from Dhara.
Yeah.
It's very important to learn French.
Apparently.
So the benefit, because even the normal Napier grass is also the same. It regenerates. You just go and cut and it grows again. So what's the difference between that normal Napier grass and this super Napier grass then?
What makes super Napier grass, and that is what we as Maximum Milk Production Solution Africa, the company that is based in Thika, educate our farmers through our forums, through our Facebook page, through our YouTube page, YouTube channel, through our TikTok. We let them know some of these benefits, like the biomass it produces. This crop, produces 180 to 200 tons per acre per year.
180 to
200 tons
200 tons
per year.
This Pakchong one?
Yes. That biomass is able to support between 10 to 15 animals. I hope you can note that. It can be able to support 10 to 15 animals.
Okay. In how long?
That is per annum.
Okay.
Then, since it's a perennial crop, the normal dara that you know is the same like this. You can go up to, like the dara I found home at our home village in Muranga. I'm the one who have uprooted it, and I am almost 40. Yes.
And you found the same
I found it there.
It has been regenerating over your life.
Over my life.
How much? Now, let's talk about yield. You said this other one is up to 20 tons.
Oh, the ordinary Napier.
The ordinary Napier grass?
The ordinary Napier is up to 50 tons per acre.
So it's more?
It's less.
Oh, the other one is what?
180 to
200. Or 180 to 200. Yes.
So
and the other one is 50 tons.
Yes. And you know, us as Africans, the population is increasing and the size of land is decreasing. So you require this type of crop. The population is increasing and the size of land is straining.
Yeah.
So with a small portion of land, say for example an acre, you'll be able to rear 10 animals.
Yeah.
You know, there are methods that used to be done a long time ago of rearing, the extensive ones, that used to leave the animals graze. Today, there's no luxury of that.
It has to be complete zero grazing.
Yes, there's no luxury of it. So what people are doing nowadays, or what this crop is helping people do, is to do zero grazing.
I have a question on that before Ndu comes in. What makes this one have about a 4-time yield? What does it mean in that acre? Is it that it's thinner? What is it that
No, it's not.
You harvested more times in a year. What makes the original Napier grass just produce 50 tons in an acre, and then this one to go to 200 tons in an acre?
Very good question. Ordinary Napier grass, we normally harvest at least 3 times a year. Ordinary. Super Napier grass, you harvest 6 to 8 times a year.
6 to 8 times. That's in 2 months or less.
Our main farms, maximum milk production solution of Africa, are found in Thika and a dry place. And when it rained, we cut at the beginning of December, and by January we have cut again a portion. That means with warmth and water, it grows very fast. And there is another characteristic I didn't mention, that the crop is drought resistant.
Okay. There are research bodies, government-instituted research bodies for this kind of thing, right? The likes of Cairo, formerly CARI, and all of this. Do they know of this? Because it would seem as though we know that farmers go there regularly asking for information. Are they aware of this? Because from what I'm hearing, you have an opportunity to cut your costs by close to 6 times.
Is it 6?
If you're saying, okay, 50, maybe 4. Because if you're saying that in an acre you can get 50 of the normal Napier, and now here with this,
you'll get 200.
You're getting 200. That's 4 times, right? You could cut your costs by 4 times, and you don't need to buy feeds, according to what you're saying.
Yes,
that that cattle can survive and do very well on this graduated Napier, isn't it?
Yes.
So you don't need to buy feeds, and they can get everything they need from this. It seems to me to be revolutionary in terms of what it can actually do then for farmers.
Yes.
Do they know?
Yes.
I'm talking about the research institutes.
Yes. On 16th September 2022, Caro visited our farms and did a lab analysis. They took samples for that analysis, and these were the results. I can read for you,
please.
The crude protein was 16.3%.
What's that?
Crude protein.
Crude protein.
Yes, that is very crucial in milk production, by the way, and meat production.
So what percentage again?
16.63.
Okay.
Then there was the ether extract, 4.7. Digestibility, That is very important for animals. If you give an animal something that is not able to digest, it will not be able to get the nutrients. And then there is the dry matter content.
What is the percentage of digestibility?
The digestibility of the organic matter was 53.24. Right? Then there was traces of very important mineral salt that animals require. Phosphorus was 0.33, and calcium. You know, calcium is very good in bone formation, and animals require that. We've seen cases of animals giving or coughing, and then they are not able to wake up because of that lack of that. So it gave around, it was 0.30. Energy, 9 megajoules per kilogram. Or in a nutshell, what I'm saying with those results, so that a farmer, you know, we like talking about the language that farmer will understand, is that there are several basic things that a dairy cow or a beef cow requires. It requires proteins, it requires energy, it requires mineral salts. Those are found in this grass. And we have done a lot of sensitization so that people can understand. And so many people have adopted it, actually.
So, beside this particular napier grass, the super napier grass, just like Ndu was asking, CalRO has been conducting research upon research on animal feeds and fodder. Okay? Do they have a napier grass that does better than this? Let's start with that. Is there a variety of napier grass that's been developed by local researchers that does better than this in terms of yield, in terms of nutritional content?
Currently, we have Kakamega 1 and Kakamega 2, but they don't do better than this. The other thing, they have physical characteristics that most animals don't like, or most farmers don't like.
What's this?
The hairiness.
The Rwamba.
Again, we go back to the same problem we were talking about. In terms of how much times you harvest, again, this one grows faster.
Okay.
And that is why it is super.
Okay. Yes. But this is only specific to napier grass.
Yes.
Are there other grasses that have been developed that would compete with this? In terms of everything.
Napier or
not napier.
Not napier.
Any other kind of feeds that are grown by farmers that could compete with this.
Okay. Not only grasses. We have sweet potato vines, fodder crops that can compete in terms of protein. Like we have a crop known as super K vines. Those we did a lab analysis again. It gave us 23.77 crude protein. That is vines, but you cannot entirely feed animals or cows on vines.
Gouache.
So what you do, and there is vines for gouache and there is vines for fodder. So what basically you do, you have a combination of crops in your farm. You don't have to have only one crop. You don't need to have a super napier grass. You need to have super napier grass. You need to have bracharia. We have a variety of grasses known as bracharia, and the best in our farms is the bracharia basilisk. That's the best. That is developed here in Kenya.
What is that? So we know the other one is Dara, the other one is Gouache. Okay. What is this one?
Bracharia.
This is Doma.
Maybe. Okay, bracharia. Let me say something about bracharia. Bracharia na Kiswahili ni nyasi. You cannot keep hay. You know, I will talk about how you preserve, because we are talking about the crop itself, but there is a bit of planting, managing it, and post-harvesting activities.
Yes.
So I'll bring in napier vis-a-vis bracharia. Bracharia you can put as hay. You dry it and just stock it.
You just bundle it.
You bundle it and stock it. You can't do that to napier. It will lose all the nutrients. So what you do in napier, you do silaging.
Okay.
So maybe if you ask me, I'll
the
talk
difference
about
between silage and
the difference between silage and hay.
Tell us.
And which crops can you silage and which ones can't you.
Let's just do that basic one, then we'll take a break.
Okay.
What's the difference between silage and hay?
What is silage?
Yes. From the very what is silage?
Okay, silage or silaging is a preservation method for crops like maize and napier. That is specific to those crops. So what you do, you just wilt, you don't dry for 2 to 3 days, you cut it or you chop it, you compress it. Traditionally, people use either bunkers. Bunkers, you just construct a wall or like a tank and you press it there and seal it very properly. That one can stay there for 2 years. It's a preservation method for fodder.
Okay.
And specifically...
And it will remain green and soft.
It will not remain green.
But it will remain soft.
What? Okay, I'll explain something to do with how we make silage. Okay. Making silage, you need to introduce molasses, you need to introduce yeast, you need to introduce some microbes so that it can ferment. So it is storing feeds in a fermented status.
So you're giving cows alcohol.
Actually, when you give it that.
Okay, and that is specific now to napier grass.
That is specific to napier and
maize.
And maize.
Okay.
When it comes to grasses,
Can you add others like can you do millet?
I'll add. There is.
Can you do millet as well?
Yes, you can do millet. Millet can be silaged.
Okay.
Millet can be silaged.
Right.
The grasses like bracharia. Bracharia, there is Kikuyu grass, there is panicum. Those are just grasses.
Okay.
Those are the ones that you do hay. You just cut, spread it in the farm. It becomes dry. You
make bales.
You make bales, or not bales per se. You stack it.
Okay.
You just funga with there are tractors that do that.
Okay.
Yes, that's basically the difference. That is now post-harvesting. Yes, activities.
Let's take a break. This conversation continues shortly. 9:30. Mr. John Carrier is a dairy farming expert in the livestock fodder productions. He is here to talk to us about feeding animals, cows for milk, for meat, and even sheep and goat. They're called shoats. Yeah, I know. The shoats.
Geets.
And
or geets.
Or geets. Okay, I think goats and sheep.
Geeps. Okay.
Okay, kiwi.
Yes. We go to the supermarket, don't we?
Yes.
We go to any shop where we're going to find kiwi with the starburst, the new logo kiwi. That's what we are going to do.
Yes.
I need you to pick up a tin of this and then dial the number *459 *5#. You will enter the code which you'll find when you pop the lid, and then you will get airtime or data. After you do that, you will be entered into a draw. 35,000 shillings is what 4 people are winning every week. Whether it's school fees for you, whether it's school fees for somebody in your family, whether it's school fees that you can now have given to somebody else. Step up and shine with Kiwi. Buy a tin today and let's do it.
Time for that break with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Step up and shine. It's that time of the year to win big with Kiwi. Stand a chance to win school fees worth 35,000 Kenya shillings weekly and instant airtime or data. Here is what you simply need to do. Visit your nearest store, buy any participating Kiwi tin with a fabulous new design nationwide. Dial *459 *5#, enter the unique code you'll find under the lid, and you could be the next winner. Kiwi, your trusted partner to protect, shine, and waterproof your shoes. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs. We deliver with pride.
All right, we're coming to the end of it this morning, looking at what traffic has done through the city this Tuesday, reducing significantly coming into the city from Langata Road. There's still a bit of movement and hold-ups on Gong Road, but that should be fine. The Thika Superhighway from Survey out towards Moranga Road, that is still causing some traffic. Wangari Maathai has some traffic as you approach Chiromo, and then coming out through museums and then through again to the city. So that looks a little bit messy. And we're also still seeing some traffic on Limuru Road, but that should dissipate in no time. Keeping an eye on things through the morning. SpiceFM, KE on X.
Some very nice, mature music.
They really take me back to my days, and I can just feel get and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of SpiceFM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Expert. He is teaching us this morning about Zara from the island. It's called super napier grass, Pak Chong 1, and others as well, on the best way to make sure that you're getting maximum yield out of your livestock, be it dairy cow, be it meat, be it sheep, be it goat. Now, you told us about silage.
Yes.
And also about... what's the other one called? Hay. And Ziti, you had a question.
My question is simply this. I get the impression that looking after, and you actually mentioned as we got on to the hour, the care that is needed for a dairy cow is plenty.
Sorry?
You need a lot of care for dairy cows.
Yes.
Why?
There are factors that, so many factors, environmental factors, fodder factors, that will make a cow produce milk. If you have, for example, as a farmer, a person who is making noise to the cow during milking, it will not produce good milk.
Making noise?
Yes. Cow requires a lot of tender and care. To some extent, today, in current farming or in modern farming, zero grazing, we are using even some mattresses for cows. We are putting music system to the cows. Yes. They are cow mattresses.
Okay. For what to happen? The cow will lie down on the mattress so that
you
it
lie
can
down
eat.
there, relax, after it is now digesting what it ate to produce milk. Okay. Because a cow is a factory of producing milk.
And so it's like okay, sorry. It's like how they say nursing mothers, nursing mothers can't be under any kind of stress because that kind of stress will reduce the milk that you produce. So it's the same thing because there's hormones that will naturally shut down. Stress is invited into the situation. The hormones will shut down. Milk production will reduce or cease completely. Is it the same thing?
There is a concept I want to explain here. A cow is a factory. There is a raw material that gets into the cow.
This.
I'll elaborate.
Okay.
Pak Chong 1.
And others. Okay. The raw material that gets in, quality and quantity determines production. Okay. Give good quality fodder like Pak Chong 1, that maximum milk production solution effect provides. Then a cow, inside it will digest, get the nutrients that are in this crop. Then there is the environmental factor. If the cow shed is too wet or too hot, again that will affect milk production. So the factors that affect milk production are not even only feeding. There are other things. The person who is tethering the cow needs to be friendly to the cow. Si vile wakati wa zamani ulikuwa unaingiza ng'ombe kwa kukamua na mateke na ngumi. No. It's a combination of so many factors, and maybe farmers, those serious farmers, they know what I'm talking about. Yes.
Okay.
So the finished product here is milk. The quality of the milk that you get depends on what you give it. I don't know whether you have ever taken some milk and had some taste. You see, when you put you give, for example, you feed the cow with a lot of machicha or the pineapples, this waste from pineapples, the milk will have that smell.
It'll have flavor.
Not flavor, that bad smell or mild. That
It's like a foul smell.
Yeah, that's a foul smell. So what we are simply saying, and maybe this is what there is little knowledge about dairy farming in our industry, in Kenya, and farmers are doing things, trying this, trying that. So these are some of the things we are talking about. Whatever the quality and quantity you give to the cow determines what you get.
What you get out of it.
Also, farmer must know that the genetic composition of your cow. If you have indigenous breed, even if you give Super Napier, you will not get milk. You'll get little milk.
So then the genetics doesn't work. The genetics, yeah.
The genetics, that's a story for another maybe, but it's good to mention that the genetics, how you breed, how you breed your cows also matters.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about in terms of quantity? So you've done everything that you need to do, because it's a formula here, according to what you're saying. It's a factory. If you put in this and you maintain this, you will get this.
Yes.
So what are we talking about in liters? Because now we're talking about milk. In what should you be able to get from your cow every day?
Yeah, a good question it is. The milk production in Kenya, according to Kenya Dairy Board, it's between 6, most smallholder farmers, 6 to 8 kilo or liters per day.
Per what?
Per cow. Per cow. Okay. That is too little. So what our farmers are not getting, they are not getting the optimum production. Why? Because one, the cost of commercial feeds is too high, so they are not able to meet the requirements. So with the crops like this we are talking about, you'll be able to push your cow because maybe you have a very good cow, but you're not feeding it with quality, so you'll not get the production from it.
So these people who are talking about getting 15 liters of milk from a cow, 20 liters from one cow a day,
even 40.
Is it a lie?
It's not a lie.
They sing to the cow and they put it on a mattress.
40, depending on the genetic.
So what are they doing? What are they doing?
The genetics of the cow
to get the 40 liters a day? Because you're saying the average 6 to 8. What are they doing to get 40 liters a day?
Principle. So there are certain breeds of cow that have a predisposition for producing more milk.
Yes.
Because they're getting 40 liters a day.
Yes.
And they're saying the average is 6 to 8. But there's some cows that are getting 40 liters a day, one cow.
Yeah, the others also that give you 1 cup of milk a day.
Okay. Basically, there are these breeds, exotic breeds, that like Frisian, Holstein Frisian. We have Asha, Ganse. Those animals are milkers. They produce a lot of milk. They are built like that. Just like athleticism, not all of us can run. There are those cows that...
So correction, we can all run, but we all can't run fast.
Fast.
So all cows can produce milk, but not all cows can produce
So what we are saying here, and that is a very big topic, is breeding. Breeding entails, if you have a cow today, and that is why I said dairy farming is not a 2-day, 3 weeks affair. You have a cow, you start with some cows. You give maybe insemination, the artificial insemination. The offspring you get, if it is a heifer, it means it will be producing more than the mother. If you continue improving on that breed, by the time you are 5-10 years, you'll be having high producers. The milkers, you're asking 15 liters, 20 liters, 30 liters. It is from that we are saying some of the farmers have that, but they are not getting enough
Some
milk.
have milkers, but they're not getting
They
the
don't.
milk.
Because, one, buying these feeds like
The
dairy
packaged
meal, maize jam is too expensive. And farmers will shy away from farming from dairy farming because they are not making profit. And that is why we are saying there are some crops that can save farmer from this. And one of them is the one that we are talking about. We also talked about vines, super K vines. And us as Maximum Milk Production Solution Africa, we try to talk to farmers. Actually, we organize sometimes, the farmers that are well organized in dairy cooperatives, we organize education days with them and teach them about this crop. So it is being adopted slowly by slowly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a new one in the market?
It has been here for about 3 years. It is not well known.
So it's new in the market?
It is new in the market.
Is it regulated?
Regulated?
Is there any form of regulation that it needs, that government needs to know that there is this crop that's or seed that's come from outside the country? So who is in charge of that?
Of course, it's we have like the Caro, they are in charge, Kefis. Yes.
So Kefis would know that this is there.
Yeah. And good things. The good thing is that this thing, if you didn't know, it is adopted by most people. Most people, even senior people in the government.
Okay.
They have adopted it. They know,
senior people is fine.
Okay.
I just want to know that the regulator has given it a stamp of approval for it to be sold. So that the regulator has actually said that this will not have any adverse effect on other crops that we have. Because you see, when you're introducing this new crop and you put it here, you know that this one, what are the negative effects? What's it doing to our soil, to the soil? What's it doing to the other crops around it? What's it doing in the long-term effect of it? Is it beneficial or is it not beneficial? Have those things been checked by the regulators?
It is regularized, and what we are saying is that it is accepted by majority of the society.
So who's the distributor for this?
The distributor.
Is your company the one that sells?
No, we are saying us, we produce, we propagate, and we sell cuttings, stem cuttings.
Okay.
Like you, if you need, you'll get.
I come to you?
Yeah, you get.
And I get and I buy. There's somebody who says that you're very expensive.
Somebody says I'm expensive.
Yes, that, coming to you for those cuttings.
Yeah.
Aye, bwana.
Ni expensive.
Yes.
Is it? What exactly?
I don't know what he's comparing with, but
I don't know. Maybe they're comparing it to ordinary dara and everything else, and they're thinking, okay. If I come to John and then get
maybe he will talk to us. I'm John Curry on Facebook. You'll find me. We'll have a conversation.
So
we will assist.
They can engage you directly.
Yes, we will assist.
But actually, how much does it cost? How do you cost it? I mean, is it per kilo, per stem, per...
It's a good question. Propagation of this crop is via stem cuttings. Miwa. Stem cuttings.
Okay.
And the stem cuttings are 2 nodes cuttings. A 2 nodes cutting is a plant that you need to get, is a seed that you use to plant. And we cost per seed, we don't cost per kilo.
And how much is the seed?
The seed is 20 bob.
And how many seeds do you need to buy to start an acre off, for example? An acre.
4,500 pieces.
How many?
4,500.
4,500.
Yeah. That one is a one-off investment that will help you rear your animals for 30 years comfortably. That's what we are saying. Just like building a house. You don't build a house and you build next year.
You build once.
You build once and you finish that.
So, okay. The process of acquiring it, does it involve delivery?
Yes. You place your order, you'll get it in your home. Or hometown. If it is in Nanyuki or in Bugoma, you just do it via parcel delivery services. Yeah.
I see. Somebody is saying, please ask the guests if you can give comparative data for Bracharia and Boma roads for hay in terms of yield and crude protein.
In terms of yield, I would Bracharia has up to 18% crude protein, and has more biomass compared to Boma roads, right? But Boma roads, the bracharia bit of it has wider leaves, so it does not make better hay than bone marrow. So comparatively, bone marrow has better hay, right? In terms of nutritional value, bracharia takes it. So what we are talking about is you cannot have one crop that serves everything. You must have variety in your farm. You have bracharia there, you have some bone marrow there, you have some pak chong there, you have super K vines there. Because even in our farms, we don't entirely do specifically cattle. You'll have some cattle there, and you'll have some sheep there, or greater goods. And some of us will like to offload the waste and have some pigs. And pigs will take vines. They will not take napier. They will not take bracharia. So that's what we are saying. We encourage farmers to have variety in their farms.
When you look at, so starting off this process, because you talked about after having harvested, you cut the first time, that you can see that in another 2 months you'll cut. When you plant the first time, what time frame are we looking at in terms of a harvest?
A good question. When you plant pak chong 1 today, you harvest after 75 to 90 days. That is 2.5 to 3 months. That it takes much time due to root development and shoot development. After that, you cut after 45 to 60 days. Every 45 to 60 days, we give that range depending on the.
So let's say every 2 months.
Every 2 months
you
max.
Can harvest from the same.
Why are we saying 2 months? You can decide to cut after 3 months, but by that time, the digestibility, the nutritional bit of it, protein content, all that will have gone down. So there is that timeline.
The window.
There are those people who might not remember the dates. When they planted, there are physical characteristics you check. Like for this napier, you look at when it's starting to form 1, 2, 3 stems.
Okay.
Because the stem will be the source of energy.
Okay.
These canes are a little bit sugary. The leaves will be the source of protein. So you have the combination of that, you'll have enough dry matter. Then we said you can be able to silage that by wilting. Yes.
And it's
wilt for 3 days.
You said with this, then you do not need to supplement with other feeds.
A little bit. Actually, I wish I have those messages. I can't trace them now. There are farmers who are calling, thanking that I used to use 15 kilograms of dairy meal. Today I'm using 4 kilograms. If you save
for the same yield or for
the
more?
Same yield, for yield, for more yield, of course. So if you save 11 kilograms of dairy meal is very expensive.
What does it give? What does it provide?
Dairy meal, why is it called dairy meal? It has proteins, it have, we call them the minerals, it has carbohydrates. It's a whole
everything
meal.
is packed into
it. It's a combination of several mixtures. So that meal is needed in dairy cows. It is very expensive. But you have this napier, you are good to go. That's what we are saying. And it is scientifically proven.
Okay.
It is not hearsay. Yes.
What are the effects of planting the super napier grass on your farm? Anything? Does it erode your farm in terms of how much nutrient it gets out of the soil? Does it affect other crops nearby? You know those questions. Does it encourage
what happens?
To grow?
It has a very major positive effects in terms of one, soil erosion management. The roots goes up to 1 feet or 1 meter deep, so they are able to hold the soil. So there is those cases of erosion are minimized. The other thing is the issue of carbon sink. If you visit our farm, I wish you people can find time and visit. It is a forest. of Napier.
A forest of how many acres?
50.
Where's your farm?
Thika.
It's just around the corner.
Just around the corner. You'll see what we are doing. You cut, and the area is so dry, but it is always green. What you normally need to do is, when you cut, do some farmyard manure.
Okay.
These animals you are feeding,
Same manure.
Use it manure. We don't encourage use of fertilizers. Synthetics. We encourage use this manure, because what manure will help, it will help also improve soil fertility.
Okay.
In Kenya today, we talk about smart agriculture or climate smart agriculture. Climate smart agriculture entails using organic manure to improve soil fertility. We are also talking about carbon sink. Like in that area, Ukambani area, and the crop is drought resistant, it is always green. If everybody would do that, the issue of climate change will be gone. I'm talking that from a perspective of an environmentalist. I'm a lead expert at NEMA Kenya. So I love green. That's why I'm wearing green.
Yeah.
And
how much water does this grass need?
Water, like you plant today, it is not raining. You need to irrigate at least once a week. What we encourage farmers to do is to look for grass and cover it. We call that mulching.
So you have to do the mulching.
After it gets into ground proper, ikishika ukate mara moja. Sorry for mixing, eh?
Oh, no, we allow
language. Okay.
We allow mixing here.
Okay. If you harvest and add manure now, even if the sun comes, and I wish you can visit us when it is sunny. Nowadays we are having a phenomenon that we are not understanding. January we are used to dry period. That place is normally green. Because
and now that's raining, is it more green?
It is a forest that I don't know.
Okay.
It's crazy.
And you said that the shoots are sugary.
The canes.
The cane is sugary.
Hata nikuwa na njaa nikuwa huko sometimes ile overgrown mimi nakata tu naonja sababu sukari imeenda chini juu ya jua. Yeah. I wish you can visit. Just do a visit wakati hauko busy. Muone, tuache kuongea mambo ya theoretical.
If a farmer wanted to get into this, let's say they're doing the pak chong, and they want to do it commercially.
Yes.
Would it be possible? Say you have the 50 acres and you don't want to keep cows. That would be 50 acres, 10 to 15 animals. But it's too much. You don't want the cows. You just want to grow and supply to farmers. Do you provide such linkages?
Yes. I have farmers who are just doing not for dairy, not for beef, for sale. There is a business in it. The business
how
of
do you
selling
sell it? In kilos, in tons, in gunias?
Okay, there are two ways you can sell the grass. You can sell it green. The ordinary Napier grass pickup is 2,500. Right?
Yep.
For this one, it will not be that, because the quality is higher. You multiply by 4, so it's 10,000. That is green.
What?
Higher. In terms of, because it will overgrow, it grows very fast. What you need to do, and what we are encouraging, and we have those machines that we do that, and we provide silaging services, you have to silage. For farmers who might not be able to do that, they can contact us. We are able to connect them with people who will assist them to do the local one.
Yeah.
You need to preserve that fodder.
Yeah.
Again, you'll be able to sell. So there are ways in which you can put that grass into bales. You compress it. There are machines that do that. The baler machines. You do bales of 60 to 80 kgs. And bales are very expensive, by the way. That fodder crop, that feed is about 10 to 15 shillings per kilogram. And by 80. So a farmer might think to invest in the direction of producing of
Just
feeds. Not keeping animals. If you don't want that hassle, you can do that. Another farmer would want to do all or both.
I know you said it can grow, but semi-arid, wet.
Yes.
Is it possible for it to grow via way of irrigation? Can this crop grow? Because we're looking at places where you wouldn't get water through the year because of the environment. But can they employ irrigation to grow it as well?
Yeah, like there is a farmer, my friend known as Matt Mudhama. Matt Mudhama is a farmer in Malindi. He does feed rots. He does irrigation. Actually, he has planted drip irrigation. There's also another one in Kiserian doing the same. So you can irrigate, but if you don't have that money to irrigate, you can leave it like that as long as you feed it after cutting. It will struggle its own way through the dry period.
It will survive. John, thank you very much for joining us. You said you're on Facebook, John Carrier.
John Carrier.
Okay.
Maximum Milk Production Solution Africa.
Okay.
Facebook, YouTube, the same name. Yeah.
Sawa. He is a dairy farming expert. He's been telling us about this new wave and craze in the dairy farming sector, which is this new type of grass called Super Napier grass, Pak Chong 1. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. As we leave you, we remind you, if you haven't downloaded the Maramoja Taxi app, please do so today. Load money onto the wallet, get 50% bonus immediately. Use the Maramoja Taxi app today. Use the SPICE30 as a promo code and you get 30% discount on your next ride immediately. How's that for saying goodbye? That's it. Goodbye. See you tomorrow, 10 a.m.